Buenos días. Buenos días.
Hola.
Hola, any new updates?
I think I'm gonna have to order a new router. I think I need two of them. So when this one gets low, I can jump to the good one. 1 second. I'm gonna leave and come back in.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining MonkieMar. It's Tuesday Patrol. We are about to get down to the nitty gritty. Mar's been working hard to bring us updates.
Oh, okay, there we go. Hello. Hey, Black
Oh,
Eagle. Lynn GMB, Lynn Patricia, my elderly cats. Hey, Lana, Lilac. How is everyone? How are you,
hello, beautiful
me?
people.
How are you doing?
Doing good tonight. We're ready for all of the chisme.
All of the what?
The chisme, the gossip, the rumors, the updates.
Oh, the chisme. That's right. You're a
Yeah.
drama girl. I keep forgetting. Drama Patrol.
Drama drama comes to me.
Did you get anything good, Lilac? I was gonna ask my ex-husband to buy me a new laptop.
Let's
Oh,
see.
that's funny.
Yeah, you need one.
I know. I don't think I need one. I've taken good care of it, but this is like getting close to 10 years old.
Well, they're $300 off at Walmart.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and send him a text message right now. Be like, hey, can you get me a laptop? Well, I don't think that will go over too good. All right. Yeah, there's a couple new profilers talking about what they think happened at the
Oh,
crime scene. Hey Jess,
in Idaho.
are you calling me a hoe?
I'm calling Idaho.
Hey Annie. Yeah, in Idaho. But I found this really interesting. I'm probably gonna have so many strikes. I'm probably gonna have to open up a backup channel. But I wanna start. I found this guy's video on YouTube today.
Uh, why would you get a strike?
I'll put him in the description.
Is it because I'm cursing? And
No,
I try to say it proper now. Proper.
no, not at all.
Yeah, I should have waited to buy my speaker until Cyber Monday.
It's Cyber Monday now.
I know, but I bought my speaker about 2 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and now they're on sale. But I needed it.
What kind of speakers did you get? If my
Um,
internet is, you know what? I'm buying two boxes. I'm gonna go ahead and get. 'Em. 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 '
You're gonna spend all your money? Oh, Brian Enton about getting keys from crime scene and going to red Jeep outside. Oh, yeah, I like Brian Enton. Now I have to wait to get paid so I can buy the Christmas presents, but I bought some already. Oh, the stains. Did y'all notice there was a smudge to the left, to the lower left of that area where the blood is? There's a smudge of blood there. It's not a dripping. Yeah, Mars been coming on late later. Yeah, but I haven't really been keeping up with the Idaho 4. You know, since yesterday. I think there were some new developments. I'm not too sure, but I think they said that they found something. I'm not positive though. We have to ask more. I've been working on a case about a little boy named Nicholas Andrew Plaza. Hello, everyone. Yeah, a missing little boy in San Antonio. He's 5 years old, but he's been missing since 2001, October 23rd, 2001. I've been working on his story.
Ooh, I'm gonna scream. All right, I jumped onto my phone.
Wow.
I'm ordering. As soon as I get off of this live tonight, I'm calling T-Mobile and I'm telling them to send me out another 50 GB box. Shit, I might even get 3 of them.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
let's try this again.
We'll be
Maybe
able to
if I
see
hook,
you
maybe if I
3D.
hook them all at the same time, I'll get like 8 GBs going through. All right, phone data seems to be good. Okay, let's get into this. And this guy too is definitely easy on the eyes. And if he's married, I apologize. Okay, where is he?
Well, your baby here in San Antonio is getting married real soon. They announced it. Troy from
This,
Ken's 12 or Ken's 5.
who has heard of Mike Force podcast?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me speed this up.
Insane that this took place. Insane. So we have 4 students.
Okay. Has anyone heard of him? I'm going to drop his
Hey,
link.
what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Mike Force podcast. It's
No,
your
I
host,
haven't.
Mike. These Idaho murders. Insane that this took place. Insane. So we have 4 students that were killed in Moscow, Idaho, because they were murdered in their sleep by somebody with a knife. Multiple stab wounds per victim. Victims were on the 2nd and 3rd floor of this apartment, this house, and 2 roommates survived. I believe they were on the 1st floor. Now, the damaging thing for Moscow's police department is they originally came out, I believe, just days after the murder and said the public is safe. And this was a targeted attack, which is their statement, and everything's under control, except no suspect, nobody came out and said, we have somebody we're looking at, a person of interest, a suspect, or an arrest is being made. Then they came back and recanted their statement and said, hey, we didn't mean the public is safe, because the public is not safe. And so a lot of people are
I'm at the point right now where I want to hear what everyone has to say. And then when it does come out, I think we're probably going to be shocked. I'm still kind of on the serial killer thing.
confused by the communication or the PR aspect of this, and that's a debacle. I mean, one of the things about the Moscow Police Department is the Moscow Police Department, I believe since 2017, hasn't seen a murder between 2017 and 2021. Not to say that they're incompetent, but they don't even have a communications officer, supposedly, or somebody that's focused on PR. They had to bring somebody in, I believe, from the state. If you're listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below to kind of refine this picture for people if you're closer to the investigation or the understanding of what took place. So here's what happened. You got 4 victims, a male and 3 females. The male was sleeping over because he's the boyfriend of one of the females. And then you have 2 more additional females. Somewhere between 2 in the morning and 11 in the morning, because a phone call was made to 911 to dispatch at 11:30-ish, which the police department, the Moscow Police Department, hasn't released the audio nor the transcripts of that call, but because they said it would affect their investigation. Now, they came out early on and said it was a targeted attack. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means deliberately somebody planned to do this. It wasn't in haste. It wasn't a random act of violence. It was targeted. Now, what's the information or evidence to that? They haven't released it. So if you have somebody who's targeting somebody and they kill the targeted person or persons, it's unusual to have multiple.
Okay, I don't know what this guy's background is because I had to end up doing a couple of things after I wasn't even going to go live tonight, honestly. I was actually working on a video. I was just getting ready to finish the final touches and upload it. And then I said, no, I have to go live because I saw some other interesting stuff. But I do not know his background. I'm going to find out right now. But this targeting part right here is what I was like,
multiple people that are murdered because they're just there, right? If somebody's targeting somebody, I mean, usually you don't target multiple people unless it's an act of rage and the gunman goes in and just starts shooting the place up, especially with a knife. Now imagine the crime of passion that's involved with a knife. How close to the victim or to the people that you're murdering, how crazy that is, right? So somebody goes in, and let's just say they're targeting the male and the female, or just say the male, because the female is probably laying in the same bed, and they go to attack that person with a straight blade knife, which according to the police department is what they're looking for as the murder weapon. Man, that act of violence is very up close and personal and tells you a different situation when it comes to the psychology and the intent of that suspect. So they murder the person. And supposedly there's, whether it's one victim or multiple victims that have defensive wounds, meaning they weren't sleeping when they were killed. They were sleeping when they were stabbed. And then they woke up and then they try to defend their life. So they go to do that. Let's just say, making the assumption that they're targeting the couple or the man. They go to kill the guy. The woman next to them in the bed is awoken by the person who's being stabbed next to them. And then they get defensive wounds as well. But the fact that wasn't the end of it.
Yep.
Who knows the timeline of how this chronologically took place? If the couple, which I don't know, was on the 3rd floor and they went to the 2nd floor and then went to murder who they thought was the male or the female, and then they killed them, and then they go, oh, that's the wrong person because we meant to target the male and the female, and then they move on methodically through the house with nobody waking up on the 1st floor. The 2 surviving women, supposedly according to the press release through the media, I am assuming coming from the police department, the 2 girls that survived were on the 1st floor. So they weren't stirred by the commotion. And then that
before I forget, let's think about what he just said. So we know that on the 1st floor, those 2 girls, nothing happened to them. But we have to also remember that on the 1st floor, underneath that pipe, is where the blood is coming out. Right?
That's actually on the 2nd floor, and it's right on the corner. On the top, and it's going down on a steep incline.
Okay, so it could have been on the 2nd floor, the way that back is built up.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner. And then
I'm going to look at it.
About a smudge
after this video
to the left lower corner.
The back, yeah, it's on. I know it's on the back side of the house, but I'm thinking, what level is that? Is that would that be on? Would it be coming out of the second floor level?
Yeah.
Okay. Lynn said, I saw a couple of ex detectives who say there was some evidence in the crime scene where one victim had unique wounds compared to the others that somehow show they were the target, but Ellie isn't disclosing. Interesting. I think this guy right here is definitely. I'm, I mean, I can totally relate to everything. He actually makes sense
Person went on to
to
another
me.
room, and then what I assume is another room, unless the two girls slept in the same room, which I don't think they did. I think they slept in different rooms. So 3 separate instances.
I do believe they slept in different rooms, but because of the calls to Jack just before, because supposedly between 3 and 4 a.m. they were murdered, 2:56 the calls to Jack. I think that Kaylee and Madison might have been in the same room.
Where a person with a knife into a room and murders the people that are in there with nobody hearing a thing.
Hey, Merritt.
And then supposedly at 11 something in the morning, a dispatch gets notification through 911 from what's being told by the police department as people who are in the house, which sounds like to me more than just the actual roommates. And they haven't released that because they said they want to protect the investigation. That's kind of odd to me. That kind of stands out to me. Why would they not release that?
Hey,
And
Marty
the details of the
McFly.
suspect that they think deliberately
Good to
targeted them
see
comes
you.
from, they declared, evidence they found. And they don't want to affect the investigation by telling that evidence. Now, where they screwed up from the get-go is saying that the public was safe. How is the public safe if you don't have a suspect?
Exactly.
If you don't have somebody in custody? How is the public safe? They're not safe. And then they recanted that statement, came back and said, hey, the public actually isn't safe. You got to be vigilant. So very scary.
Exactly. Like, why? Like, how could you possibly come out into a university of college students after 4 were just completely murdered with a knife and say that you're safe? Unless they know what they think happened. Maybe because of them keep saying that it was a targeted murder.
Yeah, maybe they changed their mind because they didn't want the
Hey, Mariah.
person to think they were onto him or her.
Yeah, but you would have thought by now they're unless they're just completely trying to figure out the crime scene. I don't know, Mariah.
Waiting for the lab results.
I have a couple theories, Mariah. Couple theories. I still find it very coincidental that Xana's mother was arrested in Arizona, let her go to Idaho where she was arrested. The taxi driver talks about, I have a couple theories.
For the people, especially the students of Moscow, Idaho, a small town in the middle of Idaho. So where are we at with this? We're at a place where we're weeks after the attack. Not a lot of information came out. And then the press release was done yesterday where they finally came out and said what they had to say and answered a few questions. One of the last questions asked by an intelligent reporter was, hey, what can the public do to be safe? If you're not giving information, then what can they do to be safe? And their answer was nothing. I mean, they didn't even give an answer. They just said, hey, yeah, this sucks and moved on. I'm parastoring there. It's like, what can you do in this kind of case? Well, one, I think the police haven't got ahead of messaging and communication to the public and made a clear case for why they're not giving information. 2, I think it's a mistake early on. I mean, I'm not a police officer. I have a degree in criminal justice and train law enforcement officers. But I just think I can't really think of many cases in many instances where withholding information, at least the understanding of that investigation, is going to benefit the police department, the community, and not warrant the community jumping to assumptions. Like I heard the communications officer that was designated say, well, we haven't come out because we don't want people to jump to conclusions or jump to assumptions. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you don't communicate what's going on? They're going to jump to assumptions. So why not get ahead of it? Because you're a public law enforcement officer and communicate, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're going. Here's some facts of the case that we need to make the public understand. And here's what we know and don't know. Just that alone is information the public should know. I mean, withholding the important aspects of the investigation, I get that. But not communicating at all or saying, yeah, the public is safe, and when they're not safe, that's not a good path. And that's not a good look. And they know that. They're already getting hammered for it now, which is why they brought in investigators from the FBI and the state of Idaho to assist in the investigation. I ever heard them say, like, the governor's allocated $1 million in the investigative process. Yeah, I don't understand. So what can you do in this case? Well, number one, there is somebody who's on the loose who they know is a potential suspect, and that is a danger to the public. One thing you could do is be situationally aware. It's something that we teach at Fieldcraft Survival, my company, and it's also something that I teach. Hell, I just read and proofed the chapter on situational awareness for the book Prepared that's coming out by Penguin Random in June. So some of the things that I outline in the book are situational awareness is just paying attention to your environment. It's that easy. But because we're complacent, because we're lazy, because we're soft, because we want convenience as a part of our everyday routine, we disconnect from that connection that naturally keeps us safe, and we don't stay focused on our environments. So we miss a lot of things that are spikes in the pattern of behavior that should stand out to us. And then we're so lazy, we just blow it off. Like, why is that guy looking and stalking me or following me? It must just be an anomaly. No, it's there for a reason, because it's part of your primal instincts to survive, and you should pay attention. Keep it in the back of your mind, but have a plan of action to be able to react to that circumstance by being situationally aware. Lock your doors. Use closed circuit and sensors, whether it's a home alarm system, game cams, linked to SMS, whatever it is. I use Vigilant in my house, and no, I'm not sponsored by Vigilant, but I want an integrated security system set up in my house to give me better situational awareness. Basic things like a storm door. Why do you have a storm door? Not just to protect your door from storms, but to give a second barrier of defense. Why don't you have a gate around your yard? Maybe you have a third barrier of defense. Maybe you have a Ring or a Vivint camera that's going to provide technical surveillance to give you an early warning to what's going on. Basic stuff like paying attention to your doors, your windows, and making sure they're locked. Walking the perimeter of your house to identify potential weaknesses in your house. And damn, man, home defense. Yeah, have a home defense plan. Locking the internal door to your house when your central nervous system shifts from a parasympathetic rest and digest to a fight or flight and a sympathetic response to allow you to survive.
I think we should all take a survival class.
Shooting and something goes wrong, horribly wrong. Yeah. And you're running around and you're trying to identify what's good, what's bad, identifying friend from foe.
Okay. That's all he mentions regarding his thoughts on. I thought it was interesting how he says if the one couple or whoever was targeted, how he continues to move on.
Yeah. From person to person, you mean?
I mean, you've got 6 people in the house. 2 girls on the bottom floor who hear nothing and walk away with, they hear nothing. Then you've got the couple and you've got the 2 blonde girls that were murdered. So did the murderer not know those 2 girls were down below in the basement part of the house? Or did they go, because I think those 2 girls were still hanging out and texting, who knows what they were doing when the killers showed up. So was it that they were awake and they were targeting Ethan and Xana, or were they targeting the 2 blonde girls and Ethan woke up? Or Xana woke up?
I think the rooms down in the first floor are kind of hidden, and it looks more like a utility area. So I'm thinking that they didn't hear anything because had probably been partying and were knocked out, or else they know it's a party house, so they probably listen to music, or wear headphones during the night. Maybe
they could have, but because I think they actually arrived at the house at 1 a.m. and they were out partying, but they were in a different, like they were doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of like there was 2 sets in the house. It was the 4 who seemed to be very close and grew up together. And then it was the two other girls that seemed to hang out together. It was like two sets of groups, a 4 and a 2.
Oh, there's chairs. Lilac Bee says, I cannot imagine not hearing anything. Look at the bottom screen door. Furniture is tossed around. Look at the image. Chairs tossed. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I have those pictures. You mean with the door, the bar stool in the door?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one briefly.
Yeah, we're gonna go look at some new pictures. Chris Madonna too. He had the footage. Kept talking about that back part with the wood line, but I've been saying it from the beginning that if he was hanging out in the wood watching them, then he was probably up there in the woods watching them.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too. I was doing a lot of research today, and I'm gonna go over it with you guys about the different types of killers and what each of those killers like signatures are. And I think that it might be a multiple. He might have a little bit of voyeurism. He might have a little bit of, I don't know. It's just bizarre. Like, how have they not even, you know what? Let me go check the login book and see if we got any. I've been checking that too. See who's new logged into to the county jail.
Oh,
They are, quote,
good
making
idea.
progress, unquote, in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, but they're still not providing many details. Police told CNN today that they have interviewed
I
more
just
than
want
90
to hear
people and
what
received at
all the
least 700
profilers
leads.
have to
Investigators
say.
also said they found a dog at the home where the students were killed. The dog, who was seen here with one of the victims, was found unharmed. But at this hour, there's still no suspect in custody and more questions than answers. CNN's Natasha Chen took a look at the police response. This is her report.
Hey, Gen X.
The incomplete and sometimes contradictory information came in the first days of the investigation.
We believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims.
Those words echoed in the press, perhaps leaving the impression that the police knew something that should make the public less worried. But some residents and neighbors near the crime scene were not comforted by the terms targeted and isolated.
At first, I thought that they actually had something going, so you think that makes sense, like, oh, it's targeted, and you wait to see, what they say, but now they've said nothing and that they know nothing. So how can you say it's target?
Then the local mayor went further, telling the New York Times it could have been, quote, a crime of passion, later clarifying that was just one possibility.
They don't want people to panic. And yet, unless you have the evidence that you are willing to share with the public and be transparent about how the investigation is going, these words are completely giving false confidence.
But police say they can't share their entire case for fear of compromising the investigation.
You can't just put that out into the public's eye. It would impede the investigation, and ultimately it might impede justice at the very end of this.
But with no suspect identified, many students packed up and left town.
There's no perp caught or anything, so it's definitely easy on campus right now.
By day 4, police recognized their assurances of public safety weren't resonating as residents fixated on the fact a killer was not caught. Police Chief James Fry went before the cameras.
Something else that I find interesting in this case and the information that they have put out is I'm surprised that they let us know that it was with, the murders were done with a knife. Because, I would have thought that would have been something that they would have kept close because of the killer knowing what type of blade and stuff. I thought that was weird that they put that out. I kind of thought, because a lot of, we don't, like, with a lot of cases, you don't hear, well, shot or things, but something like this, you would have thought that they would have kept that private. What do you think? I mean,
yeah,
I was thinking
that. Mm-hmm.
You were thinking
I was
what?
thinking that. No, I forgot. Oh, that they put it out there because they wanted someone to send in a tip in case they had seen someone with that type of knife, a worker or someone who, was interested in that they knew of or had a like a collection.
They could have come out. They could have come out and said a knife, but they went into complete detail of the Rambo knife, the fixed blade. I mean, we saw the knife that Johnny Law showed, and it was the same knife that we were showing with that little serrated edge at the bottom. But why would you come out with the specifics? Hey, Jennifer. Like, it was just that I found that really weird. It just stuck with me. I don't know.
They, yeah,
Say that
they're
there's
looking for one around in the shops in that area.
Yeah, but they could have done that behind the scenes and got into people's social networks, like the one we're going to go look again on Twitter with his knife collection. What was his name? I forget.
no threat to the community.
Still calling the crime targeted, but pulling back on assurances there was no public threat and pledging to release more.
I probably should have been standing here a day or so ago, but I'm here now.
Between 2016 and 2021, there were no murders in Moscow. So when the quadruple homicide stunned this
Hey,
town,
UC
the 36
boss.
person police force was pressed into unprecedented action. With no full-time communication staff,
The messaging was a little bit off,
Idaho State Police were brought in to assist with public messaging.
and really put out hopefully the best information we can.
But the rumor mill has been hard to control. A report of a man loitering at a food truck near two of the victims was knocked down by police, who later said they eliminated the man as a suspect. Reports that someone's pet dog was, quote, skinned 3 weeks before the killings are also believed to be unrelated. Meanwhile, police are trying to protect the integrity of the investigation.
If you flood the public with information of everything that's going on, then stories might start merging.
Stories are already emerging. Rumors are emerging.
Yeah, unfortunately, rumors are out there. People want answers. A lot of times, or all the time on TV, these are solved within 60 minutes. There's an appetite to make sure these are done, and we totally respect that, and we will put out as much information as we can, as soon as we can.
Though some victims' families have expressed
Judy.
frustration with a lack of information,
Together, we want to extend
What
gratitude
was
to the following.
this week the family of Ethan Chapin acknowledged answers and justice can only come now from police.
The Moscow Police Department, who now carry the burden every day, not only for us, but for all of the impacted families.
I asked about the threat level to the community given the
So
initial
sad.
confusion of that message. And Aaron Snell here told me that it's always a good idea to be vigilant since the
Another thing that I thought about, Ethan is the only one that has been put to rest so far. Unless I'm missing something and something happened today that I didn't know about. Hey, Pix,
and
but
he was a cute
do you think maybe the reason why, because they still have the 3 girls in their custody with
Oh,
forensics and stuff?
yeah, because maybe they finished him first. I mean, they finished his autopsy first, and then now they're doing it, a thorough one on the
Yeah, they
others.
could. They all said all of their autopsies were completed,
Oh,
and the
okay.
cause of death was homicide by stabbing by a knife. But I'm saying maybe maybe these 3 girls were the ones that were targeted, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just there's a lot of different. I pray to God there's not a serial killer. I pray the next time we hear something about Idaho 4 tomorrow, it's they have somebody in custody and not other college kids are now no longer here because people shouldn't have been afraid. How could you not be afraid being a college student when 4 of your classmates have been murdered by a knife in a house by the campus? What? I would pull
Yeah,
my kid out of that school.
I would too, but my grandkids, but I don't have any say so because I wanted them to keep having homeschooling, but they're like, no, I got to go to school.
Yeah, socializing though is good for kids that age. All right.
I know.
suspect hasn't been caught, saying that it's a good idea to walk in pairs, to lock doors at night. And he did not rule out the possibility of perhaps more than one person responsible for these killings. I also asked about this being a targeted attack, and he reiterated that they still believe that it was, based on evidence found at the scene and the fact that 2 people in the house survived the attack. So if it were a bit more non-discriminate, that perhaps everyone might have died. We hope to hear much more information coming out at a press conference tomorrow at 1 p.m. local time, John.
Natasha Chen in
Well, this was out today, I think, pretty sure. So I guess there's oh no, this was the last press conference before that. But have you ever, I just had another crazy thought. What if Ethan was not supposed to be there that night? Like, what if he wasn't spending that, you know, Ethan wasn't supposed to be there, and it was those 3 girls that were being targeted.
Yeah.
Moscow, Idaho, a terrific report, Natasha. Thank you
Here
very
we go
much.
now with
More perspective now from
here
former
we
Deputy
go.
FBI Director Andrew McCabe, who is now a CNN senior law
I like
enforcement
him.
analyst. Andy, we just mentioned we are expecting officials to release more updates at a news conference tomorrow, but it's now been more than a week since the murders, and we really don't have any answers. So what do you make of the lack of details?
Well, John, there's a couple of things that I think are really troubling here. One, of course, is the lack of detail. Now, you would never expect any police agency to share all of the details of a crime of this nature with the public, but you would expect them to tell you some of the basics about how they're doing and what they're thinking, simply to calm fears, to let folks know that they're on the job and they're getting things done. Not only have they not done that, they've actually made statements that are contradictory and cause more confusion than they've helped. So they are definitely behind the power curve here in terms of managing this crisis response with their press outreach. And we're just hoping that that's not indicative of a lack of organization or focus or capability in getting this investigation done.
Because in your mind, there are still very real current public safety concerns there?
No question. You have a quadruple homicide. You do not have, by their own admission, they do not have a suspect identified. They don't, presumably, not that we know of anyway, they don't have a communication or any sort of claim of motive or purpose behind that. They don't have a murder weapon recovered yet. So without any of those facts in place, I don't see how they can possibly state with any confidence that there is not a threat to the community. Clearly there is. That threat still out there.
One of the things police have said is they have ruled multiple people out. How useful is that in an investigation to rule people out?
You know, eventually, John, you want to rule people out, but I was struck with how quickly they ruled out a fairly large group of folks who seem to have played key roles in the discovery of this crime. So you have the 2 roommates who were on the premises when the murders were taking place. You have some number of either a friend or some friends who came over to see those roommates the next morning before the 911 call was made.
Can you imagine?
You have the individual who drove the 2 females from the food trucks back to their house right before the homicides took place. And all of those folks have been kind of dismissed as having no involvement. It just seems kind of quick to be writing off folks who were so close to this event. You'd think you'd want to do a pretty substantial, thorough investigation of each one of those people and their networks to ensure that there's absolutely no connection before you go out to the public and say, yeah, we've cleared all these people. But, you know, again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Andrew McCabe, thank you very much for helping us understand the limited details we do have. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Holy smokes. I mean, guys, I found so many things today. We'll get into that. They were talking about an article that they did on Maddie. But where is that? One sec, guys.
Yes, J. Diaz, the order in which they were killed, one person that was that's experienced, an FBI agent or someone like that, mentioned that they will know the order because the first one that was stabbed won't have the other person's blood on their wound because it would have transferred over. So the first one would not have the other's DNA, but the second one would have the first one's, and
the first one will have nobody's blood on them.
Right.
And then the second one stabbed will have that person's blood probably in the first person that was stabbed, and then so forth and so forth.
Yes.
And then they'll watch blood splatter patterns and see all of that. God, I'm telling you, I can't handle crime scenes or even pictures in the courthouse, but I would definitely want to I would have gotten into the CSI.
Me too. You can still do it.
No, too old.
You're practically doing it now. You just need to get this certificate or the whatever diploma.
All right. So this is an ex-Navy SEAL, FBI, the guy that we're going to listen to now. And what he has to say, I am on this guy's boat 100%. And I'm sure you guys are going to know who he is because he's, especially if you watch Fox News.
Special Agent and Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, good morning to you. The headline today really is that there isn't one. 2 weeks in, and there is no information on who committed this crime. Are there any details that you're honing in on as you follow this case?
I'm not.
Well, I do think there's some important things that the public should be informed of, so they can kind of get an idea of what they should be looking for. And first of all, let me just say this: I've been very critical of this police department, the way they first handled these things. But I have to tell you, I don't blame them at all for not telling the families anything else, because ever since this occurred, the family members have been on podcasts, they've been on newscasts, and law enforcement is automatically going to pull back on the information that they provide if that occurs. So I don't blame them for that. But what I do think that they should be doing, and they're probably not going to, because they don't want to, they think that they're going to inflame the situation of people being nervous if they do this. But people have to understand about what occurred on that night,
London.
And the type of person that would
Black
do
Eagle.
this. Now, I've heard some analysts saying things that are just soundbite related. One analyst on another network said that it was probably a female or a same-sex argument or something that inflamed it, as though he was wanting to make it an exclusive or all-inclusive type of thing. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure that this was a young male, somebody who could get into the house and get out in that neighborhood without being seen. I don't think it was two people, because the more people you have going into that house, the more likely it is that they were going to be seen. So I think it's one male, young enough to have been in that neighborhood. I think the potential is that they entered from the second floor, because the first floor was never disturbed. And there's also a wooded area behind that house. But here's an important thing that I think people should realize. This is probably not the first time that this person did this. As I explained before, this is an adrenaline-filled incident. When somebody goes in and they kill, especially with a knife.
He is the first one who says that he doesn't believe that this is the first time this person did something like this. I don't think it's the first time. Might be related to that couple that was stabbed. But yeah, I mean, the first time you would have honestly thought that that person would have been caught by now. But then again, I'm just a barber.
There's a tremendous amount of adrenaline that goes to this. And to do that 4 times in one event shows that this person has most likely not done this before. So people need to realize this individual is probably odd. He's probably shown some type of behavior that people think is strange or menacing when they're close to them. And I would advise people, if they know someone like this, or if they saw something between the hours of 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock when the sun came up on the 13th of November, that they should call law enforcement and just say, this is what I saw and this is where I saw it.
Would you go so far as to say that this individual is a serial killer?
Well, I think when you look at what they did, typically killers don't rise to this level on their first shot. So somebody's not going to come in and kill 4 people unless it is a family-oriented type of thing, which this was not. You do see with mass killers, and people also need to realize the difference between somebody who is a overt killer, such as the Walmart killer or the person in Colorado that shot up a nightclub. Those people expect to be seen, and it is a fit of rage or narcissism or psychopathic dominance. But with this individual, they may share that narcissistic or psychopathic dominance, but they don't want to get caught. And so I think what we see here is something that was an escalation, where this person has probably done something violent before, potentially killing before. Because remember, rapists don't start off killing, and killers don't necessarily rape. So you need to realize that this was probably an escalation, and people might have identified somebody before, again, within, I would say, at least a 3-hour travel distance to Moscow, Idaho, that this person probably lives.
Jonathan, a lot of the people who have spoken out about this case in terms of law enforcement are making statements that are leading people to believe that they do know more than what they're releasing to the public. Do you think that's true, or do you think that as of now they're still completely in the dark?
I think law enforcement knows what they know, and they could be telling us less because things have quickly gotten out to the media, or it could just be the fact that this was such a saturated crime scene, and there were so many people there before that night and that morning when people actually called other people that came there before police even got there. I find that to be the oddest, strangest thing I've just about ever heard.
You think?
So I think this situation or this crime scene is going to take time to filter out, because you got to remember there's DNA everywhere, there's things, blood that was everywhere, so things are going to be tainted, and it takes a long time. I'd rather see the police take their time and diligently work their way through this than to succumb to peer pressure and tell people they just can't get to it, there's nothing to be worried about, or make something up. I'd rather see this diligent investigative process.
Absolutely.
If you had a child at the University of Idaho, would that child be back at class today following Thanksgiving break?
No.
I'd be very careful with that until they find out any more information, release any information. But I'll tell you one thing people can do. I think people should go and it's a $35 purchase at Amazon. It's a garage, or excuse me, a driveway detector. It comes with one little thing that looks out with, I think it's IR, and then it has a monitor that you pass out and you don't know what's going on when you get home. And most important for people on fraternity and sorority row, don't go out and get wasted. Don't get wasted to the point where you pass out and you don't know what's going on when you get home until I wouldn't advise that at all, but especially until they catch who did this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we're learning about this area, great advice, by the way, there is that this it's not New York City, where you have crimes or cameras on every corner. It's a rural college town. And obviously this area is one where there are a lot of college homes, so there may not have been the Ring doorbell cameras in the area. So when police are desperate for as much information as possible, and there are some investigators who are saying that even if you have something that may not seem like a big deal, hand it in, because what might not be in that footage is just as important as what could be in the footage.
Absolutely.
So great advice, great analysis, Jonathan. Thank you so much for
Unbelievable. I mean, I totally agree with everything he said. I thought he was the one that made the most sense so far.
Smart, he's not changing his mind or saying, he's straight and to the point.
Yeah, he was ex-Navy SEAL and FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's only one more that I want to watch. I don't even know if I'm going to make it through because I haven't listened to it yet, but it came out today with an update from Crime and Law. No, I can't even talk. What is it? Law and Crime Network. Here we go. And then we'll get into the crazy Twitter.
Is that Brian Anton? No, that's Newsnet.
No, but I do have Brian Enton is going, or he's there already, to Idaho. I do have an article on him where he's going out there. Yep. Girl, I've been staying on top of this. I'm checking every 30 minutes.
All right.
I just pray to God they catch him soon. And this guy is not right about him living 3 hours away. Oh.
Students at their home off campus.
So happy.
I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. We are taking a closer look at what we know so far in the murders of those 4 students a little more than 2 weeks ago. Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kern.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Had been out for the night and were killed sometime after they returned home in the early morning hours of November 13th. Maddie and Kaylee were captured on a Twitch stream video at the Grub Truck. That was a food truck shortly before they went home for the night. They had been at the Corner Club bar before that.
Good night,
Ethan and
Marty.
Xana
It
were
was good
dating
to
and
see
had
you.
been at a party at the Sigma Chi house earlier in the evening. Here's Captain Roger Lanier of the Moscow Police Department discussing the timeline so far.
On the evening of November 12th and into the early morning hours of November 13th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. after visiting a local bar and a street food vendor. Ethan and Xana were also out in the community at Sigma Chi, and they arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. Two surviving roommates who were also out in the community arrived home at approximately 1 a.m.
Now, later that morning, it was 11:58 a.m. A 911 call was placed from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. They had actually called a friend of the house because they believed one of the people who was actually killed was sleeping and unconscious. Police say the 911 call takers had actually spoken to more than one person who was at the home at the time. Autopsies revealed that the victims were all.
Okay. How odd is this? So you're sleeping downstairs, and we know that there's 2 dead people on the second floor and 2 on the third. So you come out, and the first call came in where they claimed that they thought a roommate was unconscious. Now, how do you not, and then you invite your friends over. How do you not understand that there was probably blood everywhere and something else is going on? Like, why are we inviting friends over?
Didn't they say there was someone passed out in the driveway because they were drunk?
That was a complete, it was the rumor was that somebody was driving by and one of the girls was passed out in the driveway. No. The call came from one of the girls who survived in the house, who came out and called because she thought somebody was unconscious.
If they
I
were
mean,
against the corner in the second floor bedroom, maybe some furniture was covering them and she could only see part, she could only
but
see part of them.
but if you're in a room where this is going on, can you imagine how much blood is in that room?
Yeah,
Multiple stab wounds? No.
yeah, because we have over a gallon of blood in our system. And
Yeah, lilac.
if they all ended up in that room, maybe he cornered them into that corner, and did what he
No
had to do.
way. There can't be one guy with 4 people crazy fighting, and no, I don't. That is so bizarre that you
For
don't come
one, no,
upstairs.
he's one at a time, but he corners, like if they, either way, if they all are there at the same time or if they go in twice, maybe that's why
No,
there's so much blood there.
I bet this guy had bloody footprints. I bet there was just blood everywhere. And then
Yep.
supposedly something about, and I don't even know. Black Eagle. There was 2 girls. There were 6 people in the house. 2 girls on the basement in their rooms. 2 girls on the middle, and girls on the third. The second and third floor, those 4 were killed. The ones in the bottom floor just decided to call 911 like 11:30 the next morning because she believed somebody was unconscious. Very strange. Just completely strange.
Stabbed, and some of them had defensive wounds. Others were stabbed as they were sleeping. Police have said there were no signs of sexual assault. So far, police say they've been able to rule out some people related to the investigation. Joining me to discuss the very latest on this case is forensic death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan,
I
who's been
like
following this
him,
case
is
very
why I
closely
wanted to
since the
listen to
beginning.
this.
Joseph, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Anjanette.
The timing of this is really interesting and kind of peculiar. This happened, a week or so, week and a half before the long holiday weekend. So is there any way that
I wonder if Ethan's twin brothers felt anything
that
at
could
the
have
time when it was happening.
He's a triplet.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's got 2 twin brothers. But the fact that he was laid to rest and the 3 girls have not, I wonder, there's so much you can just speculate on that I'm not even going to go there.
Have impacted the investigation. The fact that kids may have been getting ready to go home for the holiday.
Yeah. In my estimation, yes, of course it could. As a college professor myself and living, and working in a university environment, it's kind of amazing when you have these events that kind of shake the university to its core, and it extends out. And with an event like this, you've already, let's just think about what the kids are thinking about at this moment in time. Prior to this event, they've had a long semester. They're coming to the end of it. They see the finish line. Thanksgiving is on this way, and all of a sudden, bam, this horrible event occurs. They were already thinking about leaving anyway. The floodgate was kind of open, when news, kind of leached out about this, and people were probably stumbling over themselves to get to their cars, to leave, to flee to safety, to get home. And from an investigative standpoint, this is a perfect storm. You begin to see things in a different light. You think, well, is it worth me hanging around for another day, another night, when I know that people that might not be in my immediate circle, or at least peripheral to me, have had this event that has rocked us to our core? I think I'm leaving. Well, when that happens, the investigators lose a big chunk of potential interviewees. They've left. And here's the thing about doing an investigation. Sometimes for the investigators, they can stimulate something in the brain of an interviewee that the interviewee might not have thought about. And all of a sudden information comes out. It comes flowing back to the police. And think about how large this university is. And I've heard estimates that 10 to 11,000 people inhabit this small space. It's amazing how many of these individuals may very well have data contained in their brain or in their remembrances that they might, just dismiss and say, well, that wasn't important. But then you contextualize it when you're sitting across the table from an investigator, and suddenly something clicks and you have important data flowing in. Now we're 2 weeks downrange at this moment in time. Think about this: 2 weeks downrange, memories begin to fade after this period of time. Recall is not immediate. So not only do you have a scene that is highly complex from a forensic standpoint, from when you're trying to gather biological evidence, now on the other side, you've
Not
got this
today,
kind of lack of
Lanky.
communication or interaction with
Scary
individuals that
world.
might have knowledge about the case.
So I would assume, as an investigator, you would want to kind of put that plea out again. If you have kids who are returning back to school, you put that plea out again, or you're going through the cell phone dumps of these victims. Which can be
Imagine
very
how
tedious
many
and
cell
time-consuming.
phone
And you're probably
dumps.
looking to, say,
Ooh.
hey, we need to talk to you. Anybody who knew these people, who knew any of the victims, who might have some information. So I'm assuming we'll hear another plea for people to come forward.
Yeah, you will. And the other thing that you have to kind of entertain with this, and you don't know if their remembrances have now been kind of polluted by virtue of the fact of everything they've heard in the news. Because trust me, when they're at home, they've been watching this, and they're back at mom and dad's house. They've been watching this. This is where they go to school. This is where they live their lives. And so all of that data is coming in, and it can perhaps impact those remembrances that we just talked about. And it kind of creates a headache for the investigators, and it diminishes the potential for clarity. If you had gotten to people like within, that 24 to 48 hour window, that could have worked. And this increases exponentially. We've got 4 victims, so each one of these victims have individual lives where they're going to class, they're going out to eat, maybe they've got jobs, and they're interacting with all of these different people.
How come nobody is talking about DNA samples? Is it because maybe they don't have that he didn't leave any DNA at the scene? Like, where is the like? You would have thought, like, what case was it where they collected everyone's DNA they came in to give the DNA, the mouth swabs? I think it was the Libyan Abbey case.
I know there was one a long time ago. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
they
wonder.
haven't found any. Maybe, but that would be weird.
But they don't even talk about it. Like, there's not even anyone saying that they're collecting DNA swabs from the college kids or anyone in the surrounding area. We've already showed the 3
Yeah.
pedos that live there. It's just strange. It's like they know something, and that's why they were okay with maybe coming out with the type of knife. But I pray they know something.
People that populate this area. So, from a mathematical standpoint, when you begin to think about this, it becomes highly
He
complex.
actually
And
sounds a little bit like
again,
Mr. X.
I've been looking
Hey,
at some of the
Lily
stats
Pad.
that the Moscow
Hey,
Police
Rob.
Department has released. So far, more than 260 pieces of digital evidence, whether that's photographs or video, have been uploaded to the FBI's link. 113 pieces of physical evidence have been submitted to the Idaho State Police Crime Lab for processing. We know those things can take some time, even though they may be putting
113.
a rush on it. So we're a little more than 2 weeks in. What should investigators know by now?
Well, I think that what they know, and this is kind
Who
of
killed
obvious,
them is who they
on
should
my part,
know.
that, when you begin to think about this, they know that they have something that they're dealing with that is very complex, particularly when you begin to think about the biological evidence I've already mentioned. I always return back to the idea of commingling of this evidence, and I'm talking specifically about blood evidence, and also that's layered on top of that, Anjanette, is the problem. If we are to believe what we have heard, this location was a hangout spot for a lot of kids that come and go, and there's no negative connotation. People do that in college. I did that in college. Everybody I know did that in college. It was a place that you went.
Yeah, I don't know about the plate on the Range Rover pics, but what I did find weird was not the cinder block outside of the bedroom window, but the screen being off of that bottom window, because that was definitely the window to the two girls. If that's the bedroom, we're going to have to look at the layout of the house again, but a lot of this is weird.
To friends off campus. Well, for every person that entered into that residence, there's a potential that they left some remnant of themselves behind. And right now,
Hopefully, Lilac.
not only that, I'm thinking about the shedding of hair. Because you lose hair in this environment as well. And the trouble that presents for the forensic scientists is they have to wade through all of that potential data and examine it bit by bit to try and understand who this is connected to. Also, you begin to kind of whittle this down.
I have it
pics. Well, let me see. Let me get my arithmetic right. You're 6 knowns that inhabit that space day in and day out. You've got 5 roommates and you've got a boyfriend.
A warm meal, some fresh.
Boyfriend. Well, you also have to think about, did anybody else in that environment have a romantic partner that might be visiting that location on a more than regular basis? They're kind of in and out. They might have access to the property. So that's another
Say what, Jennifer?
person that would be connected to this. Then you think about, well, did parents help anybody move in or move out? Have parents been there? So you think about their DNA. And then you've got the hangout crowd, all of those people that kind of migrate through this location in and out. What are they dragging in with them? So it is a daunting undertaking for people that work in trace evidence, and specifically for those that work in.
Has anyone in here gone through the Google ads or the Yelp ads reviews for the bar, the Corner Club?
No.
Do you want to run through that real quick and see if you can find anything juicy or pictures of the girls in there or anything strange? I was going to do that today, but I didn't have time for that. Aloha from Hawaii. Hawaiian hula girl. It's called the Corner Bar. No, the Corner Club, and it's on Main Street in Moscow. Corner Club. I did see they had Yelp reviews. I was just curious. I was going to do it today, but I've got so much I want to go through
a lot
still.
of things having to do with this case, including the spread of rumors. And they addressed one of these when they discussed the 911 call that was placed from the home on November 13th. So let's listen as Captain Lanier discusses the 911 call.
Weird.
We have not released the names of any of the subjects who spoke on the 911 call, and we have not released the call itself. Any online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate.
Joseph, you heard Captain Lanier saying that the victims in this case were not tied or gagged or anything like that. So obviously there are a lot of rumors spreading about this case, and they're trying to dispel those rumors. But the 911 call itself, do you find it unusual that that has not been released? A lot of times in cases, we hear these 911 calls. They're released pretty quickly, but they're not talking about who was on the call,
Me too,
who placed the
Hula.
call, and they're not letting us hear it. So why is that?
Yeah, I think that it's a major piece of evidence, or at least the police view it that way. And they want to try to keep this as locked down as they possibly can. I take issue, I think, with people that say that the police are lagging or they're not on top of things as they should be. I think just the opposite. I think they're really
Yeah, that makes sense. You're not going to release the 911 call, but you're going to release the type of weapon the killer used, down to it being a fixed blade. What
Yeah, they
is
have
in? There's something in that 911 call.
the corner club on one side has 3.2 stars.
Yeah, we want to look at the reviews though. See if any of these college kids were leaving reviews. There are pictures of them in the club. We'll look, but that's really interesting. They'll release the weapon, and that they were all stabbed to death. They were not bound. They were not gagged. So, uh, yeah, I can't imagine that this guy doing this for the first time and doing what he did, and he's still running the streets. Like, they're definitely holding the biggest piece to this puzzle, but they're letting out other things and holding back. It's like, I would love to hear that 911 call now.
On top of this, and that they are trying to keep in check all of the evidence that they have, whether it be the blood evidence, and I've heard all these wild things about people, perpetrator possibly taking a shower at a residence and probably changing clothes with them. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but a lot of the stuff is wild speculation.
Maybe,
People
Jennifer.
want information for whatever reason, and I don't necessarily think that it's the people that occupied Moscow, Idaho. I think more than anybody, they want these crimes solved. People just have a thirst for information, and so things can kick off very, very easily, and rumors can start. I have no understanding where
It seems like it would be unusual with 4 victims, right?
Yeah, it would be. How are you going to maintain that? And then you open the door up. Well, I've heard people say that there was more than one perpetrator. I even heard one wild rumor that said there were 3 that went in. And I don't see how people are coming to these conclusions at this point. And at this point, it's total and complete speculation until the police confirm it. They're not going to release any of this information. Information is the coin of the realm, if you will. The data here is the coin of the realm, and they have to protect it very carefully, because if they don't know who the perpetrator is, okay. At this point, anything that they can release, if they capture somebody, in this case, any information that's disseminated to the general public is disseminated to the perpetrator, and they can adjust their statement, when they are finally brought in for questioning.
It's interesting you bring that up, because one of the things I've been thinking about is the fact that they've released information about the murder weapon in this case, or at least what they believe to be the murder weapon. And they've said that they believe they're looking for a fixed blade knife. That to me was pretty shocking, because I'm listening to this press conference and they're talking about this, and this seems like a really key piece of evidence. It is the key piece of evidence in this case. It could lead you to the killer. Obviously, you want the public to know maybe what you're looking for and if they've seen something like this, but it also tips off the killer. So what were your thoughts on them releasing the fact that they believe this was a fixed blade knife, because they were obviously probably able to tell what made these wounds, or at least the coroner was able to do so.
Yeah, they would have been, and I was shocked. Because let's go over the descriptors that we've heard. We've heard military style, we've heard Rambo style, we've heard hunting knife, and more specifically, we've heard K-bar. And K-bar is a type of knife that is associated primarily with the Marine Corps. Our Marines have carried K-bar since, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think since World War II, or maybe even before. It's a very specific type of knife. You can purchase them anywhere, though. You don't have to be a Marine to own one. And so that's very specific. Where's all of that coming from? Okay, all of these different identifiers relative to the type of knife that keeps coming up. I think the one thing that you can take away from this is that it is a single-edged weapon, okay? Because military-style knives are not double-edged weapons, where you're thinking about like a dagger, for instance. It has, with military-style knife, they have a facility to them where you'll have an edge side, and many times along the spine, that is the bulky backside part of it, you can have a saw, like a saw teeth, and they're very robust looking. So that if you're in a survival situation, you can saw down small saplings, these sorts of things. Also, a military style knife, one of the features of it, and remember you said fixed blade, this is not a flip knife, this is not like what people would call a pocket knife or a buck knife or that sort of thing. Many times with a military style knife, it will have a hilt guard, and that's that little bar that separates the handle from the blade. And when you're examining wounds that are brought about as a result of the use of a weapon with a hilt guard, it'll leave a contusion around the actual wound itself, because obviously that's not going to penetrate into the body, but it'll contuse the body as a result of the stab wound. So you've got
I love Montana, but I'm doing this for my family.
Ruin them, starting with her.
I found some reviews and they're pretty good. The reviews.
You've got the blade leading into the body, and then where the hilt guard.
The way he explains this knife too, explaining that little handle, But then again, so it had to have been longer than 8 inches or 8 inches or longer.
It will either continue
That sounded a little perverted.
to the injury itself, to the fatal injury, or to the staff injury.
I want to take a look now at just this TikTok video that Kaylee Goncalves
Yes.
posted on October 27th. It's just her and some of the roommates just having a
Hey,
little bit of fun.
budget.
Hey guys, I know I talk about myself a lot, but like, what would you guys do in my situation? Yeah, where are you going? Yeah, I gotta go pull you. I failed trauma. Where are you?
Joseph, it's really sad for me to look at this video and to see these girls, these young women really just having a fun time. And then to think what happened to two of them a couple of weeks later. One of the things that they've been talking about on these press conferences is the fact that there have been reports that Kaylee Goncalves thought she had a stalker. The police said they've been looking into that and they haven't found any evidence of that, but that they are continuing to look into that. These are people, obviously who were really active on social media. So your thoughts on this kind of rumor that's been spreading around, or maybe it's not really a rumor, but the information that she may have had a stalker?
Yeah, well, this is the age that we live in, because it's not just your business, or even back in the days before there was this proliferation of social media. It's not just like the population of the University of Idaho is involved in this. Now you're sending this out far and wide. Everybody has access, and as scary as this is, an insight into your life. You just mentioned, them kind of cutting up in this environment, imitating one another, that sort of thing. That's very intimate. In the past, we might have a joke between us as friends, and might mimic another person. Now that view into their life is very intimate, and it gives you a peek.
It's sad.
Into a window of their life, and for every little peek that you glean there, the opportunity is that anybody that is a vicious killer, that's opportunistic, can see the world that you inhabit. Because what did we learn? Well, we learned something about the personalities of these young women. We learned something about the physical structure, didn't we? We could see. I think I saw a staircase in there. I saw them, walking around. You kind of get a sense for the orientation of the place. Yeah. So you're opening the whole world up to the space that you occupy in the most intimate sense. Everybody can see, and it's terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying. Well, Joseph Scott Morgan, we want people who have information, tips about this case, suspicions, even if people think it's not important, they need to report it to law enforcement, and they can do that. There's a tip line. It's 208-883-7180. There's also an email. It's tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. And digital media, photos, videos can be uploaded to
Wow. So, seriously, honestly, everyone seems to come up with different theories, and I honestly can't figure it out. Okay, this is the last one, then we're going to jump into the Twitter. So there is something in one of the victims' orbit that caused this former FBI investigator's chilling theory into Idaho quadruple murder, as cops reveal increase in reports of unusual circumstances and requests for welfare checks. Trying to figure out who is talking about that.
Did you want to hear some of the reviews?
No, I wanted to look at pictures, but I'll do that at another time. I wanted to see if I could find any of the 4 college kids there.
Yeah, they have good reviews. And it's the oldest sports bar there.
So it's Bill Daly who said this. He says, a former FBI investigator said he believes that the Idaho quadruple murders were a targeted attack and that someone in the slain college student's orbit caused it to happen. Bill Daly explained his chilling theory to Fox News on Sunday. Okay, we got to go find this. Okay. You gotta find this. I can spell that right. I can handle that, Bill Daly. Garden City Live on Fox. I mean, honestly, too, if the, in my opinion, with this, looking at this picture, and I'm going to show you the picture with this bar spender real quick too, but before we find this article on Bill Daly, and then Chisby is going to have to chat why I find it. But if you did not know, and you were not in this house before, and you were a peeper out in the wood line stalking the girls, and you were in the back of the house, you really wouldn't know from this picture here, because this level in the front is off the hill, that it was a 3-story dwelling. Would you? You could
No.
mistake it for being two stories.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then the bottom bedroom on the left is past the laundry room, and the door, that door goes into the laundry room. You know, there's no door to the hallway. You have to go through the laundry room and then into the room. So it's
Look at how
hidden.
beautiful.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying. These pictures, my net's getting low. I'm getting on with T-Mobile when I get off this live, but I have to go see what Bill Daly said on the Fox News on Sunday. I'm going to look for that. Hey, sweet Carolina.
The bar is open right now. I wonder if they have a live.
I wonder if they have a live cam on Main Street down there. Live cams in Moscow, Idaho. Oh, that would be interesting. And I heard that the food truck parked right in front of that bakery.
That's it.
Where the guy worked. The married one. I can't remember his name right now. Was it Keith?
Well, one of them's named Jack or Jake.
Jack is Kaylee's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, but one of the guys at the food truck's named Jake or Jack.
Hey, London girl. I'm thinking there's 2 Jacks and a Jake. Okay, let me play this last Newsweek one because I forgot about this one. And I'm telling you, impotent is the word, not an incel. Okay, this is after we look at Twitter, guys, I'm going to show you these little things that I did a lot of research today on certain type of killers, mass murderers, serial killers, the 4 different types. I'm going to share it with you just to see if we can your ideas on what kind of killer you think this is. I think it's the first time this guy did something. Now, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But Idaho student's killer may be an incel who felt rejected. You're going to be nice or are you going to be mean? And this was actually out yesterday. Well, kind of today. No load ad.
I don't see any
Dun,
live
dun.
cam on YouTube.
Let's see if this loads. You might think it was doing this earlier too. It keeps saying targeted attack. Chisby, I'm going to put this in private chat. All right.
What is that?
You see private chat on the side?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, can you open up that link on your computer? Wait.
I don't want to start Jeopardy by
No,
releasing what we
I see it
have.
now.
There's a back. What you're
It's
willing to
open.
release versus what you gather. We told the public very clearly from the beginning that we're looking for a knife.
Yeah, it's being mean, this site.
Did you want me to play this?
Let me try one more time. Yeah, go ahead and see if you can play it. It might be the website because it was doing it earlier. So you have to pull it up, and then you see on the bottom where it says present.
Ay, ay, ay. No.
On the bottom of StreamYards,
Oh, streaming.
it says present.
Yes.
Okay, click present, and then in the bottom, you'll see click the audio box, and then go to the tab and find the tab that you want to share, and then just click share screen. And I actually found.
It says share screen, and then
Yep, share screen. And then after that box pops up, click the little audio box in the bottom left. And then find the tab on top. It will be, I think it will say tabs. And just find what you want to show and put it up. And I am getting this bill. Daily interview. Okay, I found it. Okay, while she's doing that, let me go ahead and play this one. Yeah, you go to Chrome tab or window, and it will be under there, and then you just click the one you want to share.
well, when I click the audio, it's kind of frozen. But it says on the bottom, share screen.
You just share screen, and then go to the tab that the video's under and click that tab. And check the audio box. But I'm going to play this one right now.
Building, again, as you mentioned before, building a profile, we're building a picture. We're trying to put all the pieces together. And when the time comes, we will most definitely put that information out.
Investigators remain tight-lipped as they're still on the hunt for a suspect. Today marks 2 weeks since 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death inside their home. Former FBI investigator Bill Daly joins us now. Good morning, Bill. First off the top, there's been a lot of pressure put on this idea of targeted, what that means and how they might know it. Why do you think it is that they believe someone was targeted, and why they're not telling us how they know that?
Well, first of all, you have to realize there is the killer loose out there.
Yeah.
So the more
Mhm.
information they provide, which by the way, I think they've handled it very well to this point, is that when they need the public's help, they'll reach out. But in the meantime, don't need to either get people's concerns further out there in the community or signal something to a killer. But I think some of the things surrounding this horrendous incident, the fact that there were two people who were sleeping downstairs who were unharmed. And it does seem to be something that someone would have either had to know the inside of the home, know their routine. There are some things around this that don't ring true, at least in my mind, as to be some kind of random kind of break-in the middle of the night and just happened upon these individuals. If it was someone on a rampage who was a mass murder rampage, you would have thought they would have also gone downstairs and harmed the other people. So there are a couple of things that start to suggest that there was something in these people's orbit, or one of the victims' orbit, that caused this incident to come about by this murderer.
I think a lot of us sit here and it feels like we're looking at this going, man, they don't have much here. They're not naming a suspect. They're not sending us in a direction of having faith in this getting solved soon.
How come nobody mentions Xana's mother? I think that's kind of weird too.
One thing I want to point out is they did come out and say, listen, these murders that happened in other states, one of them specifically in Oregon that was a stabbing, we don't believe there's a connection there. Is the simple fact that they can rule that out, is that evidence that maybe they do have more than what we know?
Well, I think it's perhaps comforting, to know that they've ruled it out, that there isn't someone kind of loose in the Northwest area who's committing these crimes. And I do think that there's some things here that by not hearing certain things from the police, I think they have a lot more than we were aware of. We know that they've actually had literally hundreds of interviews conducted and simply hundreds of pieces of forensic evidence collected. It is, Joey, kind of like an onion here. They're kind of peeling it back. It's not one of these crimes that initially kind of reveals itself. In many cases, within a few days, you find.
Let's pause it right here. Okay, let me go back just a little bit. I think this is where the peeping Tom was. See, they should have brought that crime scene tape back. Isn't that where Chris McDonough found the glove? Right about here. I think this is where the peeper stood out. I would love to know what room this one is right here. I'm going to find out.
These crimes that initially kind of reveals itself. In many cases, within a few days, you find out it was someone closely associated with the victims who may be responsible, a family member or something else. In this case, it's kind of looking further out. And as I say, talk about those orbits, it's someone further out, perhaps in their orbit, who might be responsible for this. And also, we talk about forensic evidence, and a lot of people have asked, well, by this point, wouldn't they have back fingerprints? They would have back DNA. My point is that, fingerprints or DNA only good as something you have to compare it to. So, for instance, you, Joey, and myself, our fingerprints are on file. If we commit something, they'll know who we are. But if you've never been fingerprinted or you don't have your DNA in a database, it's great after the fact when you find a suspect to perhaps put the suspect at the scene, but not necessarily something that is an aha moment.
Well, thank you so much for your expertise. There are so many more questions than answered. I appreciate the fact that you poised the idea. Maybe the fact we don't have those answers doesn't mean the police doesn't have those answers. Hopefully, we pray that the family gets resolution, justice, and they find this killer soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
We do, Joey. You're welcome.
Yes, Jen, that's the one that we ran that background check on last night, and he had nothing on him. Hey, Lex Luthor. But back there in that tree line, I'm telling you, I've been saying it, it's the perfect place to hide out. But if you're out there peeping Tomming, why wouldn't you? Last video, guys, I promise. And then I'm going to show you pictures, and then we're going to jump into the Twitter. See if anyone's still talking about that supposed masked man that was seen on the ring cam. Chisme, did you figure out that video, babe?
No. I figured it out all the way to where I can share my screen, but I can't find that one on the article where it says window.
Is the article open?
Yes.
Okay. So go past the window to the tab and click the tab on top, past, not the window. It's full screen, window, and then tab. Click the tab, and then you'll see the article. And then click that article and share
It says
screen.
select the tab to preview.
Just click it. Yeah. Sounds good.
I clicked the article.
Okay, now share.
Share the article.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, Brian Enton. Oh shit.
Did I share
It's
it? I'm
okay.
clicking. When I click
It's
share,
okay, Chisme. So let me see if I can find. Has anyone ever heard of Dr. Cyril Wetch? I don't
no.
think that video is going to play because I think it's the actual site. Maybe I'll look for it on YouTube in a second. But Dr. Cyril Wetch reportedly wanted to know how long the suspect remained inside the property and number of stab wounds sustained by each victim. She's saying, "Oh, is this her? Who is that lady?"
Lauren.
So it's okay,
Makalowski.
Chisme. Don't worry about it.
That's it, isn't it? Is that the article?
No, I'm sharing this article.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
saying that's the
okay,
new.
girl. It's okay, girl. I'll find it on a different thing. But listen what this one is saying. University of Idaho murders, more than one killer involved in massacre. Famed pathologist says. Dr. Cyril Wetch. She says that known for conducting several high-profile forensic investigations, said, oh, it's a he. He found it difficult to believe that one person could methodically and stealthily butcher 4 individuals in one house while 2 other roommates slept. So let's see if I can find him. On an interview. So many people have different. I think everyone's running around like chasing their tails. Here's me. Did you figure it out?
Yes. No, you said you would do it. So
I think it's
I'm
the.
doing something else.
Let me see if I can find anything on this.
How did Chris McDonough find the glove? He went out there. Is he the one that did the videotape of the walkway and all that?
Who?
Chris McDonough? He found the glove?
Yeah, he found the glove. I have the pictures. I'm going to show them real quick after this, but I'm looking for. To see if there was a video with Cyril. He believes in that article too that there's more than one assailant. Oh, this is Web Sleuths. Yeah, okay. We're not going there. Okay, real quick. Where is... I'm going to show you guys some pictures, especially that weird picture with the thing in the back door, the bar stool. All right, I'm just going to open them all up. Look at all these great people here. Okay.
Cyril reminds Junie of Bugs Bunny. Grove was near where the crime tape was and near where their garbage cans were. I thought I saw someone searching it by the garbage cans.
What happened?
See what I mean? Not just me.
Oh,
Just
it's
kidding.
definitely you.
It's you more.
Okay, so listen, my cat is trying to have a conversation with me. He's like literally 7 feet away, and he just looked at me and asked me something. Listen, what, kitty? Kitty, what? What do you want? Can you hear him? Oh gosh, here he comes.
He wants to
Here
voice
comes the
his
beast.
opinion.
Kitty, you want to say hi? Say hi. Kitty. He said hi. Okay, so no. So I was going through Twitter today, and we're going to open this up when we go to Twitter, but there was some interesting stuff out there today. I was just saving some pictures. But this was one. Jack Decor spotted with dog Murphy. So he shared with Kaylee, whom the killer spared during the savage attacks. Now that says a lot too. Here's the picture. Drone footage of the house appears to be no blood trail leading out the sliding glass door, second floor patio. Fast forward to around 9 minutes in. Also take notice of the chairs that are knocked over. And we're going to go have a look at that on Twitter. Okay, but I want to go through these real quick. The mission killer. Organized, plans his crimes, does not suffer from psychosis, targets a group of people, kills quickly and efficiently, typically avoids a close contact. So I kind of thought, I think a knife is pretty, let me come back in the chat for a minute. I think a knife is pretty close contact at the end of the day. Now, these are different types of serial killers. These are not just everyday average murderers. Hey, money moves. So we got the lust killer. R's, tortures, mutilates because it gives him S gratification, fantasizes about violence, can find it difficult to control his impulses, prefers close contact, will use knife or hands instead of a gun. So that's got some similarities, except for the first one. But then again, we do not know if any torture or, I hate to even say it. Can you say that word for me, Chisme? The M word on the first line.
Mutilates?
Yes, thanks, babe. So we don't know if that went on. I love that little drawing. I was showing some pictures of serial killers. Now this is the Sigma Chi house where Xana and Ethan were before they went home.
But it's not that day, or is it that day?
No, it was just a picture that I found off of the, their Facebook. Yeah, they have a Facebook page that we'll have to go through another day, but yeah. So then we have the thrill killer. You want to read this one, Chiz?
Okay. The thrill killer. The act of murdering someone excites them, enjoys the hunt and gets off on his victim's terror, often feels inadequate and powerless, loses interest with the victim after death. Loses interest with the victim after death. Yeah, because they're gone.
That means to me, see now on this right now with the thrill killer, I can honestly put the top link probably to it. Um, the hunt, I don't know because they were in bed, sleeping before or in their rooms before the madman came in. But that often feels inadequate and powerless. But the loss of interest means that he probably wouldn't be interested in going back and visiting the person after the fact or the horrible N word,
Yeah.
necrophilia. I mean, so there's like a couple, I think this is like a mix of traits.
Yes.
The visionary killer. I don't think this was what it was. Psychotic and disorganized, suffers from delusions and hallucinations, picks random targets and lacks planning. I think he knew what he was doing. Oh, as far as seeing whoever it was he was targeting, or it could have been all of the girls. Believes he is being commanded to kill, little or no effort to cover up the crimes. Well, that's definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead. You
There's
you got
more.
this one. Yeah,
The,
this one's yours.
the comfort killer kills for the sake of money and wealth, will often use poison, avoids close contact. Their murders are a means to an end. They won't take pleasure in the kill. They can't wait a long time between murders. Oh, he can wait a long time between murders.
Mm-hmm.
Kills for the sake of money and wealth. That sounds like the other one from Mexico, the other case from Mexico. Shall I play
And
it?
that is what they say is usually the female serial killer will fit into that one, the comfort killer.
Yeah. Use poison. Ooh.
1 second, I want to see one more thing. Yeah, so they usually say but I don't know with the one in Florida. I always forget her name for some reason. The blonde Daytona Beach that was
Mm.
killing those men.
Oh, you're talking about Eileen Warnell?
Yes, Eileen Warner. I mean, she doesn't sound like a comfort killer. She sounded like a straight up serial killer.
You're not
Hey,
gonna
Lily
believe
Pad.
this. I knew her. I met her before.
Really?
Yep. Well,
Well,
she
why
went
don't
to
you tell us that? Yeah, tell us.
okay. She went to Job Corps, and I was in Job Corps already. So she arrived, and we became friends. And we started partying and all of that together. And she was always hustling guys, you know. And I ended up, I would go with her, and all of a sudden, we're out there, someone's buying us, a bottle or whatever, because we were crazy. But anyways, so we decided to take off.
You and Eileen Warnes?
Yes,
Where were
she
you
met.
guys doing?
We
Where
were
were
in
you
Job Corps.
guys? But what state?
It was in New Mexico, Albuquerque,
Huh.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, Job Corps. So,
What was hey Annie, was she nuts?
yeah,
Did she hit on you?
no, she was busy when if we would meet, because we would take off and we'd go walking to the stores or whatever, and then we would, be out there just partying, smoking or drinking, and she would meet some guys, and next thing you know, we're partying with them, you know. We would even get she would even get them to buy her clothes and all of that stuff, and so anyway, we decided to leave Job Corps and go to my home, and she went with me, and we were hitchhiking. So we went to some restaurant because we didn't have any money, and we went to a restaurant and we ordered chicken fried steaks with baked potato, all kinds of food, and we
Wait,
took off.
wait, what year was this?
Back in 80 something, and I believe she was 21 at the time, and I was 15 or 16, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, we took off running from that restaurant because we didn't have any money, and I didn't, I really didn't. I was just going along with everything with her. So we take off running, and it's in New Mexico, and there's kind of like a desert, bunch of rocks. So we took off running, and she was real fast, and I'm not that fast, so she left me behind. I was like, Eileen, wait for me, wait for me. And I was scared that they were gonna bust me, and she was way the hell in front of me. But she did.
Ah, I love it. And I
Yeah,
know that she's telling the truth because I've known Chisme for a long time and Chisme does not tell fibs.
yeah. So she took off running, and then so I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm lost in this freaking desert. So anyway, she came back for me. She came back for me, and she grabbed my hand, and she ran, and I was, she was pulling me. And anyway, we got away and all of that, and then so we ended up hitchhiking. We went to uh where the big rig stop. What are they called? At the big rig lots, and we almost got a ride all the way to California, but I said no, I want to go home. So from there we went to my house, and she and my mom was out of town, so she ended up. It's horrible, but she ended up being with my dad, and my dad gave her some money. So, because my dad
Wait,
was like,
wait. Eileen had sex with your dad?
as far as I know, because when I saw her after that,
I
I saw
can't
her.
breathe. Your
uh,
dad, do you have a half sibling with from Eileen? I mean, do you have like a half
no,
kid running around?
no, I don't know. No, I'm serious because my dad, he was that way, cheating on my mom and stuff. So,
What in the
anyways,
entire fuck?
if that's what she told me. She told me when I saw, because she took off after that, I guess with that money. And then when I went back to Job Corps, I don't know if we had gotten permission. But anyway, I went back, and she was there, and I said, "Where'd you go?" And she says, "Oh," she told me what happened. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, and then after that, one incident that happened at the Job Corps is that she came home real drunk, and I didn't see her, but she was on her bunk on the top, and her I saw her later. Her leg was hanging over the side. She was knocked out, and then the girl underneath her on the bunk was having a nightmare, so they called the security and everything. She slept through the whole thing. I said, "Didn't you hear them that ruckus last night with the girl? She had a nightmare." She says, "No, I was knocked out."
Holy shit.
So, and then that was it. After that, I graduated, and I never I hadn't
Yeah,
heard
she
from her.
is.
So I'm like, what? That's that girl that I would, hang with. I didn't hang around with her that long, maybe about a month.
Yes, Jen, we do. Well, Chisme can give us a whole show about it on her channel. We'll have to go. Chisme, you should drop your link to your TikTok too. Okay, so let me look at this real quick. I do want to hear that though, but look at.
That was it.
Oh, that's it. So,
Hmm
we've got
I'm glad she didn't
Herbert
kill my
Mullen,
dad. Just
the
kidding.
visionary, Joseph Paul Franklin, the mission, and there's Jeffrey Dahmer, the hedonistic, and good old power boy, Ted Bundy. And I only wanted to read this part right here. These types are based on their motivations for carrying out their crimes. For example, a hedonistic killer might kill for his own sexual gratification. On the other hand, a visionary killer could murder people because he believes that God is telling him to do so. Another point worth noting is that these motivations will often overlap. Example, a killer can fall into more than one category. As I stated above, human beings are complex creatures, therefore, we must be conscious about trying to shoehorn every killer into one specific type or category. I told you this one had, how could we say that? He has like a bi killer motive. uh, and this was just out 4 hours ago. Like, they're going to shoot down some more rumors real quick. Look at how many ads are on this page. "17 minutes ago." Let's see what this is. Security increases security for students. A food truck. So where is the rumors that they're trying to shut down? Okay, he was cleared. Yeah, you're so full of You know what? That was a lie. Let me see if I say anything here. They beefed up security. Students have started returning to the college after the Thanksgiving break. So where are we debunking rumors? Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
In a Facebook post, police said that a February 2022 death on Baker Street was not related to the murder probe. They also ruled out reports that a red Mustang was being investigated. Okay, so the red Mustang is no longer in the mix. You know, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, Is it the guy's first time? Why did they say there might have been a connection to that other couple, the married couple? Something's weird. Let's see
The
if it's going
married
to play
couple,
this
I hadn't
time.
heard about that.
Yeah, I'll show you in what. Yeah, there was we'll go to the Twitter page because it's all there. But yeah, there was a married couple that was stabbed. Both of them. And the girl, she lived. Yeah, see, it's this website. Everything else plays fine, but this Newsweek. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube, but let's go to Twitter.
What is that? I'll be right back. Something's at my
Okay.
window. Oh shit.
What?
Yeah, something's
It's
at
her.
my window.
It's Eileen
I'm scared.
Warner's.
Shut up,
It's
her
her ghost.
spirit. Hey Eileen, thanks for
Yeah,
getting back to me.
just me. Bring the spirit box back.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let me see. I think it's my cat. One moment.
Jim B, where was that? Where was what, Jim B? Monkey, did you see where there was a pic on October 30th posted in front of the bleeding wall? No blood. Now since murder, 13 days later, the house is bleeding out. Oh no, I didn't see that picture prior. Yes, they can, Lilac. I would definitely be doing remote schooling. Let me see if I can find out. I think this was. One sec, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about Chris Madonna. And here he is. Ugh. But, yeah, I don't want to watch Chris Madonna.
It was my cat.
Thank God. I thought it was your little pet. The gardens. I'm going to show them your pet, your little garden spider. This thing
Yeah,
looks
I
like
know.
you could ride it. You could ride it to like from the west to the east.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Here we go. And then we're going to jump into the juicy Twitter stuff. How many of you guys think that this is a serial killer? What kind of killer do you guys think this is? Somebody who was like a peeper, somebody who was getting them back for something, jealousy, rage. Was it a stranger serial killer?
I think it was someone they knew that had a lot of jealousy, rage, obsession.
But why?
Because he had a crush on one of them, or he was
Why?
that less killer. He couldn't have him, and he didn't kill the other two because he was so tired already. Maybe, but I keep
I'm
I've
starting
been
to think that he didn't realize. Go ahead.
I've been changing my theory because it's so confusing.
I just feel like either it was a targeted deal with either the two blondes or the couple, and the other party woke up, and so he had to do that to them too. And maybe them sleeping and not hearing a word and staying in their room is what saved them, or the person did not know that that existed. And like I said, we can speculate all day. We won't know until they tell us.
Yeah.
Please be
At first I
nice.
thought
Come on. Ugh.
At
1
first, I
minute, we
thought it
can't
was,
pull it up.
Yes. It was a
Oh,
pretty
come.
large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings. And I mean, it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
So, if somebody's bleeding against the wall, I mean, is there a hole on the inside of this wall? Because if it was seeping through, it would not be a drip pattern. It would be more like a, stain pattern. How is this blood dripping through a wall and down the outside from the inside? Is there like a hole there or?
there might have been if they didn't construct it, the proper way. But that's where I say there is a smudge, and I think it's a bloody smudge, but you can't see it because of those pictures. It's a smudge on the lower left corner on that steep incline.
Weird. I heard the cops. Oh, see that serrated edge? Yeah, we're going to talk about okay, let's go to Twitter. Did you guys see, hey, Patty and Pink, did you guys see the stuff about the Range Rover and her sister?
No.
Has there been one update on the Kylie Rodney case?
I haven't heard anything. Yeah, I was thinking they were all in that area and bled out, maybe. But I saw a smudge. I swear I saw a smudge right there where there's the blood's dripping on the lower left hand side.
Okay. Blood, ski masks, and bumps in the night. 911 logs reveal how the Idaho students rocked. This is out 3 minutes ago. What is this?
Wow.
Let me see if it's going to give us. Okay.
Oh, so it started.
What is
bleeding
this? Is
out.
interesting. Oh, this is interesting.
It wasn't bleeding right that at the next day. It was bleeding several days after. Bleeding out, dripping is what Money Moves said.
I have never heard of this site.
No, go up there.
But look at what this says. Let me make this a little bigger. On Wednesday, November 23rd, just before 9 a.m., the owner of the laundromat in Moscow reported an alarming fact. A mark on column inside that looks like blood. Although a police officer responded, they did not file a report. It's just one of many potentially disturbing but seemingly unrelated sounds and sights reported across the city. since the murders. One person reported a suspicious vehicle in the parking lot, as well as a person digging in dirt. Officers contacted the person but did not file a report. Another report said there was a person standing in the cul-de-sac, dressed in a large jacket and wearing a black ski mask. Officers were unable to locate them. A report from Sunday, November 20th, describes a man on the side of the road carrying a knife in front of him, lying down. Officers made no report.
What?
Before I go on, let me look at comments. How bizarre is that? I knew I heard something about a man with a ski mask. I haven't seen a picture yet, but it's going around that hey Lady V, that there is a ski mask.
With a
Oh,
knife in front of him, carrying a knife.
carrying a knife, lying down. And then many 911 calls have focused on suspicious men, suggesting Moscow residents are particularly alert to the possibility of a male assailant. This is hardly unreasonable given the overwhelming evidence that men are more likely to commit violent crimes than women. A caller on Sunday evening, the same day the killings became public, reported a man standing near a bike rack that looked like it was trying to hide. Over the next 2 weeks, citizens reported a man outside taking pictures of upper floors, a man acting strangely and throwing things in a dumpster, a suspicious man on campus from the University of Idaho, a man wandering in the area who was also there a few days ago, a male to the dog park asking strange questions, a strange man saying suspicious things, and more. A caller appeared galvanized by the killings to report an earlier incident, saying on Monday, November 21st, that he wanted to report a suspicious man he had met more than a week before. Oh, that
I'm
just gave me.
confused.
Oh, I'm going to blow this up so you could read this next part because that just gave me the chills. Okay. Let me make it a little smaller. Can you read that, Chiz?
Oh, let me see.
Or do you want it bigger? Do you
A little
want
bit.
it bigger?
It,
Mucho grande?
sí, muy grande, grande.
Muy grande. Okay.
Bastante.
See?
Sí.
Okay, go ahead with that cute little accent. I love her accent, guys. Now I
I
can
thought
look
I
at
didn't have
questions.
one, but okay.
Well,
No,
read slow because I really got to use the little girl's room. So read slow. I'll be right back when I'm listening.
okay. It says, you better be careful. While some calls could easily have been false alarms, others suggest genuine incidents of harassment or threats. A caller on Wednesday, November 16th, said a man kept calling them and whispering in a low voice. A caller on Thanksgiving Day said a man gave their daughter a note on the back of a receipt while she was at work saying, "You better watch out." One person reported that a man walked into their business and kept trying to get a young employee out with him. I guess he means kept trying to get a young employee to go out with him, while another said he was followed home by a stranger. In both cases, officers made contact with the suspect but did not file a report. A number of 911 calls involved suspicious noises or unexplained phenomena, suggesting Understandable nervousness among residents. I couldn't see that word. That's crazy. Is it the same man? And they didn't even make a report.
Yeah, why are all of these with no reports? Let me scroll down for you. There you go.
Some, it says PR, reporting person, keeps waking up to noises outside and would like an officer to check the area, said a call log from Saturday, November 19th. Officers responded, no report. She nervous. Officers responded, no report. Some reports mentioned
What
here,
the hell? Wait,
yeah,
wait,
on
wait.
November 19th.
Wait, I'm gonna have to go to the call logs now because
Yeah. Hmm.
calls for service. How are
Oh,
there
but
no reports for all of that?
it says some reports mentioned hearing screams, including people screaming for help, while others said they saw people knocking on their doors or windows or ringing the doorbell and then disappearing. There have been several reports of suspicious vehicles, as well as people finding their doors mysteriously locked or unlocked. RP states that she believes someone has attempted to enter the residence the past few nights, would like to speak to an officer, report taken, a report said Thursday, November 17th. So they must have done a report that time. I can't read that word, but it says the day before claimed that someone knocked on their door and then walked away. Wow, they're being terrorized.
I mean, I'm gonna find that report too. And the calls for service. I'm gonna watch the calls. You know what? That is crazy. If that is all true, like we don't even know if this is true.
Yeah.
But if it is true, or even half of it's true, and half of those cases were not reported, um,
And what about
and
the
it
videos?
and it was after the fact, like maybe the police, maybe I think it's a serial killer. And the reason why I think they're putting out the blade is because I think this is the same blade that's been used on maybe that couple. Let me see if I even want to get into any more of this. No. But I saw that earlier when I was researching on serial killers and murderers and what's considered someone that walks into a house and kills 4 murderers. But yeah, interesting. All right, let's go back to Twitter. Something about the car with the sister. I couldn't read all of it, but I knew it was like 4 pages long. Okay, let me refresh.
Okay, whose mom was arrested for what was it, 700,000 pills of fentanyl or something? Or
The
7,000?
arrest was 700,000 pills. It was Xana's mom. She was arrested.
Oh.
Yeah, she was arrested. But listen to how weird this is. Xana's mom was arrested in Arizona. They let her go on some ridiculous charge to Idaho. When she gets to Idaho, she is then arrested with the charges out of Arizona. And let's go have a look if they're still holding her. I'm not gonna change the screen. I'll just let you guys know. Let
Oh
me
my
pull up
God.
Vine.
So they confiscated the fentanyl, correct?
Now,
If
I'm
they,
not sure if she got caught with the 700,000 fentanyl. That seems to be a rumor, but she does have 6 or 7 different drug charges. But let me
because
check on Vine link.
if she didn't deliver the fentanyl, then that would mean that the drug dealers would have a reason to hurt them, to hurt Zaina because of her mom getting caught, and so she wasn't able to deliver all those pills. And they're I don't know how much they cost, but I'm sure that's millions, maybe millions of dollars. I don't know.
But the only thing that makes me even think about that, and I'm not saying that I think that's what happened, but the fact that the mother being arrested and the taxi cab driver talking about all the drugs on. I'm going to show you the mom's record real quick. Okay, here's the mom's record. And she's still incarcerated in Loudoun County. So, Xana's mom, Denise Coronado, I don't want to say her name wrong, at the Kootenai County Jail, 11/19/2022. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4. She's got 6 drug charges and a warrant of detention. Now, the warrant of detention, I'm thinking, has something to do with a tie back to Arizona. I've never heard of somebody having a drug charge in a state, being let go on a possession charge, and then getting arrested in the same state that your daughter was just murdered in. Completely circumstantial on my end, but
yeah,
it's just definitely something that's there. I mean, it's not like it's being made up.
Do you have her a mugshot?
There's no mugshot on the jail because they send you to Vine Link, and Vine Link doesn't have her mugshot. But I can check again. It might have been updated. Students refusing to go back.
Still no suspect in the gruesome slaying of 4 University of Idaho students who were stabbed in their sleep. On Friday, investigators returned to the crime scene, leaving with bags of evidence, raising many questions about where this investigation stands nearly 2 weeks later. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker explaining how important the evidence collectors are in solving this case.
They may have brought a specialist on the scene, for example, serology or hairs and fibers, and just to make sure that there's nothing that was uncollected, because the evidence is only as good as the collector of the evidence and the expertise of the collector.
Police have said this was a targeted attack, but won't reveal who was specifically targeted, leaving many confused, including Steve Goncalves, the father of one of the victims, Kaylee Goncalves.
Do you know if police believe one person in the house was the target of this attack, or all 4?
I've been told it's one, but then again, there's the vagueness. Like, it's like purposely vague, I'm hoping, but it confuses everyone.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what that really means, other than maybe somebody had a different kind of attack footprint.
Charlie, I got to be honest.
Interesting.
You have kids, I have kids. I'm not sure I'd send my kid back there.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Suspect on the loose. They don't really seem to have any definitive leads, or at least they're not sharing them. So in a place like that could be so isolated if you're off campus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking transfer, or I'm doing remote learning, which the university is doing right now.
Or can you imagine a kid enrolled in the place having to face this as if they don't have enough problems in their life anyway?
Hey,
Going
Miss
back to a
Choo-Choo.
situation like this. I was really struck by that, by the father's comment about purposely vague. Obviously you kind of hope that maybe the police are, you pray the police know more than they're sharing, and clearly they do know more than they're sharing, and you hope that they are indeed being purposefully vague, hopefully to sort of keep whoever it is they have in their crosshairs unaware that they are onto them. But, it's such a gruesome thing. And the thing that puzzles me is that it's such the manner in which these kids were murdered is such an intimate way. It was done in such an intimate manner that you would think that it was somebody that knew somebody that a perpetrator knew the victims. But then it raises the question:
Okay, Jen.
how does somebody like this manage to kill 4 people? And it's appalling. But
right, you would think after the first victim was attacked, obviously there would be some scream. There would be something that wakes the other folks up to either get out of there or attack.
And the amount of hatred required to do this to one person, how does a person have that kind of hatred in their heart for 4 people?
Exactly.
All right, well, let's hear from James Fitzgerald. He is a retired FBI criminal profiler. He analyzes who the killer could be and the level of sophistication, to Charlie's point, behind it.
A knife wounding with a knife or killing with a knife is a whole different set of physical and emotional reactions, and times that by 4, as we have in this case. How he got into the scene, how he perhaps pre-offense behavior was, how he explored perhaps the interior of the apartment, or had schematics about it, or actually was in there other times, and of course the post-offense behavior, getting away with this crime. He apparently left no fingerprints behind, no blood on his part, and no DNA, and there's some sophistication before and after the crime, even if the violent crime itself therein.
Jackie, worth repeating. The killer apparently left no fingerprints behind, no blood, no DNA, and he somehow killed 4 people, not with a gun, which can be done fairly quickly, but with a knife. I mean, this thing is so crazy, so disturbing, and the thing is, it feels like we're not even close to finding out who did this.
No, I don't think we are. And I actually was thinking that the DNA aspect of this would be fascinating. It would crack this case open and probably pretty quickly. But the fact that this person was experienced enough not to leave fingerprints, or at least, we were talking about having skill in picking up the evidence, right? At least to our knowledge, and leaving no DNA behind. There is evidence that these victims were defensive in some way, that there were some defensive wounds, that they did fight back. And so I wondered to myself how it's possible that somebody didn't have some DNA fibers under their nails, or however they did try to fight back, right? It seems almost impossible to me. And that's where the skill level comes in. And you say, was this a team that knew exactly what it was doing? On top of it, my understanding is that morning before the authorities came, that was a crime scene. Other people were entering that crime scene. So it wasn't, completely intact by the time that they got there. And these are a lot of questions, but I imagine for parents who have children that go to not only this university or other universities as well, this is terrifying behavior. And it's really scary. So much time has passed without any lead, being released to the public at this point.
Lisa.
And I've seen other reports that apparently it was sloppy. So it's just, the more information we find out, the more contradictions and conflicting information seems to be out there. But how do you not leave DNA behind with 4 different victims? And if some of the victims, which we've heard had defensive wounds, means that they fought back, you would have to imagine that they screamed. How did the other victims not hear that? And how did 2 people in the house apparently not wake up during all of this? I mean, none of it makes sense. And look, I've been in college. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I've been drunk as a skunk before. And you would think you would still wake up if you hear this going on. And there was 2 different that took place in different rooms. It's just hard to imagine that someone could get in, not wake anyone up, and commit, 4 murders in a house over that time span. So just none of this makes sense whatsoever. And I got to tell you, I'm a gun owner, and I think every American that lives in a state where they can own a gun, law-abiding gun owners, you should. Because I got to tell you, try showing up to my apartment, it's going to go down a little bit differently. I think every American deserves to be armed, and should. I mean, we live in a completely depraved society.
We'll have to leave it there. Great points all.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it.
Can you imagine? So let me think about that. Maybe there is a guy with the ski mask that somebody did see. But how do they actually know that there was no DNA evidence left? Okay, I forgot to drop the link. I was actually standing at the kitchen counter.
The drug dealers have a lot of experience with that, so they would make sure that there's no DNA. Someone who's experienced.
Yeah, I just want to read these.
I was trying to figure out how much fentanyl's worth, but I found an article.
Door was locked.
That says 32,000 pills is worth $700,000.
Damn. So look at this guy. You mean this Stephen McDaniel, the law student that murdered his neighbor? Honestly, I thought Jeremy Reagan sounded like he might have some information, seeing as he looked in the windows every night. I don't think he did the crime, but needs to tell us what he saw.
I think I need to sit down. I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in.
What
I
a
mean, door was
creeper.
locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they had recovered the body or whatever
So
they
he
recovered
killed
from there.
her.
Body?
Have you heard? Have you seen anything there? Have you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. That's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, maybe it is the neighbor. Hello,
Hey.
Lady V.
Hi, how are you guys tonight?
Wonderful. How are you?
I got excited when you said serial killer.
Excited?
Join the
Well,
crowd.
to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the serial killer. That would be bad. But I've had some thoughts. I just wondered why you thought maybe it might possibly be an SK.
You can say it. We've said so much on this show.
Okay. You never know.
I don't know. Like I was saying on the other videos and the other lives, it was like I was thinking about the Idaho 4 and how they didn't catch anybody and how everybody was just stabbed. You know, they went to bed. And then we started talking about the Boston nurses that were killed in Chicago.
Right.
And then the one that got under the bed. And then I was just thinking one day about the Danny Rawlins and how it was 5 girls and 1 guy. But of course, most serial killers, see, the problem with me thinking that maybe it's not a serial killer is because most serial killers like to do one victim and leave them they're usually at different locations. But this could be a new breed, like a hybrid serial killer.
Well, yeah,
And,
but oh, go ahead.
and I don't, it was just like a feeling I got. Like it's just, maybe he's even a passer through. I don't know.
See,
And
that's
then
the same feeling I got too. That's why I was like kind of happy to get up here and talk to you about it, because it's just something that like keeps nagging at me.
So tell us your theory.
Well, okay, so I guess I don't know. I mean, Ted Bundy, he killed several women at the same time. Was that on the beaches? Was that when he put them in that beach hut thingy?
Yeah, we watched Ted Bundy last night. We ended the show with like a 30-minute documentary on him.
Oh, I haven't seen anything on him in ages, but I mean, so, and then I think about Richard Speck. He went into, this was years ago, when he went into that nurses dorm, and
That's what I was just saying. We
yeah,
played that
and
3 nights ago.
see, you and I are on the same wavelength here.
I played it 3 nights ago, and the 2 nights ago I played Danny Rawlins. I'm like, is it like a serial killer? And he went in after Xana. Xana's didn't realize Xana's boyfriend was there. I do not think that he knew the layout of the house. I think if he knew those, I mean, you can't. Those two, why leave those 2 girls? And then why kill all 4 unless the 2 girls remained sleeping? They weren't a threat. They didn't see them. But I still believe that Maddie and Kaylee were together because of the weird calls back to back from both of their phone to Jack.
Right. Well, see, okay, so I'm thinking, um, I mean, it's just something that keeps nagging at me. I mean, they say um, the animal mutilations don't have anything to do with it, but um, this could be. I mean, and this could be just like I don't want to say a budding serial killer because four at the same time is like almost unheard of for your first one, but okay, so I'm like everybody's looking at the grub truck, right? And I'm like, well, if I were a killer and I was targeting one of them, I
Wait a
wouldn't.
You're not a killer?
No, I'm not.
You hanging out with Eileen? You're not a killer?
No.
Hey, Tom Tom. What
But
that? Oh, I'm kidding.
If you were like
if
OJ, if
it,
I did it.
yeah, if I did it, I'm just thinking, why would I put myself that close to a camera when they go there often and I can just sit and watch the Twitch video and be close but not so close as to be um anybody be able to really see me, I mean, why put yourself out in the public on something like that when you can just sit and watch the video, say from your car or whatever, and I don't know, I'm just like I just think things are weird because you do have some mutilations. I mean, in the past, there have been things where animal fur has been left on sorority doorsteps and fraternities doorsteps and things like that. You've had
Absolutely.
the seven mutilated coyotes and all of this, and that was not recently. I mean, the dog was, but that wasn't recently. That's been over the last few years. And I just wonder if it's not an escalation and it could be kind of like a spree killer, serial killer kind of thing, maybe.
I think, I mean, listen, I've watched, a lot of crime shows and the stories, and I've heard of guys that would, kidnap and murder these beautiful girls, but he wouldn't essay them, but he would, um, I hate saying that word. Ugh.
I know.
He would get himself off at the scene.
Right. And
So, but how? But for these people to say there's no DNA, there's no blood, there's nothing from the killer, like how do they know that unless something leaked and they got their hands on
well, that's
a
what I was
report?
just getting ready to say because later in another interview, they totally contradict themselves and say they don't know. So, what did he do? Go in there dressed like Dexter? I mean, oh, I mean, it's not unheard of. I mean, people are getting smart. All these shows and everything, they really do teach a person how to not leave anything behind. But I can't
Absolutely.
see, I can't see where they don't leave any DNA unless they're like in some sort of a.
It was probably in a full ninja outfit, ski mask. Let's see what Brian Enton has to say real quick.
By the way, let us know if you see any movement in those windows because we can point out exactly whose
Shit, sorry
room
guys.
they're investigating, at each point, what we believe to be,
I'm
which room. And
sorry,
obviously on the
Ashley.
upper floors, it was Kaylee's room on the right as you're looking at the house. It was Maddie's room on the left.
Tom, email the channel MonkieMar True Crime at Gmail with the name and everything, and Kaz and I will and Chisme will do a little background and see what we can find and talk about it in a live.
see those windows on the third floor, but that window on the right-hand side is the first time I've really seen it lit up at night. And seen that whatever that pattern is of what's sitting in the window. But if you see people moving inside, Brian, definitely let us know. As I said, I believe that to be Zena Kernodle's room, where she and Ethan would have been sleeping that night on the second floor. And of course, over on the left is the living room. Brian, stand by for 1 second. Don't go anywhere. I actually want to add somebody to our conversation. Lauren Patterson.
Wait a second. Let me go back. Jennifer Nobles? I thought she was on the bottom floor. So why is Ashley assuming and saying that she was back in that second window? Let me slow her down. I think she's excited tonight.
I thought she said Zena.
Who's okay, I'm confused. There was Bethany and Dylan, right? That were unharmed.
Yeah. So what did she just say? Let's hear what she said real quick.
On the second floor. And of course, over on the left is the living room. And seen that whatever that pattern is of what's sitting in the window. But if you see people moving inside, Brian, definitely let us know. As I said, I believe that to be Zena Kernodle's room, where she and Ethan would have been sleeping that night on the second floor. And of course, over on the left is the living room. Brian.
Did she call her Jennifer Knoble?
No.
Her name is Zena.
She said Zena. I thought.
Okay, then I'm hearing things. Okay, let's continue.
Stand by for 1 second. Don't go anywhere. I actually want to add somebody to our conversation. Lauren Patterson. She is a reporter for Northwest Public Broadcasting and Spokane Public Radio. She's also a resident of Moscow. Thank you, Lauren, for coming back to the program. One thing I didn't know when we first met you last week and we're talking about this case, Lauren, was that your husband is an instructor at the University of Idaho. And Kaylee Gonsalves was one of his kids, one of his students. Can you tell me anything about his interactions with her?
Yes, from what he's told me, my husband said Kaylee was a very achievement-oriented student. She was always working to get the best grades. He also said she had a lot of friends in the class, which I think speaks to her wide social circle.
That makes sense. When I look at her Instagram, it's loaded with fun and friends. Not to say everybody's isn't, but hers in particular just seems to be so filled with joy and so many, friends and associates, close friends, that you would snuggle with in pictures. So
how sad.
The other question I wanted to ask of you, because you're there and you live there and you would know the difference between, D-Day before this began and then after, is that the local businesses, they really rely on a lot of kids as their employees. And many of these kids have not come back. So what is the net effect of that, Lauren?
You're right, Ashley. The Vandal students, they're a big part of the Moscow workforce. I was just speaking with the campus rec center manager today, the on-campus gym, and he said he's lost about a third of his workforce to students going home early. So the gym availability, along with some other buildings on campus and maybe even local businesses, might be a little tenuous depending on how many students have left the area.
The first floor.
That's hard. I mean, that's gonna be a big effect for the people who live there, losing that many kids. Who knows if they'll even come back after the Christmas break too, however long this goes on. Brian, as you were flying to Idaho, I understand that you sat beside a very nervous mother who had something to say about the sorority houses on campus and what's happening there. Can you walk me through the conversation you had with her?
Yeah, she was nervous. Her daughter, who was also on the flight, is in one of the sororities, knows some of these girls, and her daughter took to campus because her daughter wanted to be at the.
Oh, hell no. I don't care if my daughter wanted to stay. I would pull her out of that university by her hair. I mean, just saying.
Vigil so badly, but so many parents are not making that choice. One thing that made her feel better is that her sorority hired private security, multiple private security, some former military, to be at the sorority house 24 hours a day. That made her feel better. Walking around campus today, I'll tell you, most of the people were walking in groups, at least in pairs. There are people who live off campus that added additional locks to their doors. I mentioned ring cameras. They've added ring cameras. And almost everyone we talked to said that they were not going to go outside after dark.
That sounds about right. And how sad is that for kids away at college? Because that's what they do. They should have the time of their lives while they're doing this. Lauren, the security at the sorority houses is one thing, but there's also the security at businesses where a lot of these kids and the locals, are frequenting regularly. What's the security protocol? How has that changed? Are they closing earlier now, just out of worry and fear? Are they employing private security at the businesses too?
Well, actually, I can tell you that at least one restaurant owner I talked to, he's making sure that his employees walk to their cars in pairs at the end of their shift. No one walks alone. They maybe get the help of a manager. And it is getting dark pretty early
Better
here. It
have
gets
them
dark
walk
around
at
4 p.m. this
5.
time of year. So there's a lot of darkness really early on in the day.
Lauren, thank you for doing this. Lauren Patterson joining us again. And Brian Enton is going to join us at the end of the program as well, not even the end, in just about 35, 40 minutes or so to answer all of your viewer questions as well. So Brian, go warm up and then we'll join you again and we'll get a few more questions answered from you. And thank you for watching.
I think so too, Miss Juju's, about the sexual, him getting off
Oh,
with the stabbings, doing the stabbings.
yeah, I totally agree with that. And what's your name, hun? I didn't ask.
Oh, I'm Chismet Patrol.
You're what?
Chismet
Chisme.
Patrol.
Okay.
She's the one who's
Chismet
always out with her
Patrol is
cameras searching
yeah.
for Lena and searching for a lot of people.
Oh, okay. There was also that scare whenever there was that guy that came up to that couple and brandished a knife then too, not too long before this happened.
Wait, what? I didn't hear about that.
Well, I believe that they had said that there was a couple walking at night, and this guy came up and kind of brandished his knife around. I'm not sure how long ago it was before this, but they said it wasn't related to this. But I mean, how do they know? He got scared off or something, and he left them. But I like I said, I don't know how long it was before this, but I had heard about that as well.
Hmm.
And do you know that the fraternity is deleting everything from like 2016 on up?
What, on their Facebook page?
I'm not sure if it's a Facebook page or what, but they're deleting stuff or have deleted stuff from 2016. And I mean, that's what a 4.
Huh.
So right around time for, a new set of people to come in or whatever. I just wonder, I don't know, it just makes me wonder, maybe this is more than just I do believe that someone was targeted. I do believe that. But that's not unheard of for a serial killer either, to target somebody and then, you know, maybe the bloodlust or whatever got to him and he just started killing everybody else, or maybe Ethan and Xana hurt him or something, and he didn't have any choice. But I mean, the sheer strength and stamina it would take to kill
Oh,
that many people, they had to be exhausted.
right. So look at this real quick. Neighbor Jeremy Reagan to the fore. Idaho students addresses online rumor he is the murderer returning to the scene, doing interviews like convicted killer Stephen McDaniel. I'm telling you. I don't think there's any sound on it. How weird.
Yeah, Lex, that's what I mean. Your adrenaline's pumping and all of that, and then you're like completely exhausted after you finish. Like he like Mar said, he may not have, or she, it could be a female, may not have known that the other two girls were in there if they stayed in the rooms.
I don't think a female could have pulled off the 4. I think it was a guy. But you have to say, if it wasn't somebody who wanted to, if it wasn't sexually motivated towards the girls, then what was it? Unless maybe he's
Well,
impotent. Maybe it was just a thrill
that
of the
could be.
kill.
Maybe he's an incel. Maybe he's the one that got kicked out of the fraternity. I mean, we don't know. Was
Yeah.
Ethan in that decision making process of that?
Yeah. He was left out, and maybe he was antisocial, like kind of like Chris Watts.
Right.
And then you build up that anger because you can't be that way because your mental disability of being antisocial, it's not gonna help you to join in on things unless you get your medications.
Right. And there's a lot of people when they're on their medications, they get to thinking that they're just fine and then they quit taking it and then they lose it.
Yeah.
There's just little things here and there. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what it is. It just keeps popping in my mind. And when you said that, Mara, I was like, oh, somebody that will talk to me about actually a serial killer because I haven't got to explore it very much. And
Yeah, an
I don't
experience.
know, there's just something that keeps nagging at me.
Look at this post. This is super interesting. A post from Facebook makes quite a bit of sense if it turns out to be true. What is this? Two people who claimed to be at the house with their roommates when the bodies were discovered quickly came to the surviving roommate's defense and wrote that the roommates woke up, went upstairs to the kitchen, and noticed the sliding glass door was open. And it was during that time they discovered Ethan. They didn't say where he was found on that floor, but that it was so horrific that both girls went into shock and ran out of the house. One of the roommates fainted, and the other was beyond hysterical and not making any sense. Their frantic actions while coming out of the house caught the attention of people walking past. The people responding on the victim's IG claimed to be two of those people. They implied that the roommate who fainted had already dialed 911, but was so distraught that she fainted before she could give any info that the dispatcher could understand. The only info by the bystander who picked up the roommate's phone could give the 911 dispatcher was she just saw her friend run out of the house and faint. That's how the 911 call was made on the roommate's phone and by someone else, and why the call went out for an unconscious person.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would imagine it if you walked in on somebody like that. I mean, with it actually seeping through the floor. And my husband was at he was at a house one time, and he he left there, and an hour after he left, um, there was drive-by shooting, and everyone in the house was unalived, and there was so much blood it was seeping through the floorboards. I'm sorry, I have an Invisalign in, so sometimes it catches my tongue. Um, and he said it was really, really, really bad, and he was really glad he wasn't there an hour later, or he would have been killed. I mean, can you imagine walking in on something? I mean,
I was in a bank
that
robbery in
much
Los
blood?
Angeles. Okay.
Go ahead, hon. You were what?
In a bank robbery in Los Angeles. God, it was crazy. Thank God I was young. Look at this one. Chilling 911 calls to Idaho police mention blood and eerie stranger as suspect in Moscow student murder still uncaught. This was out today, the 29th.
Eerie stranger.
Chilling 911 calls about the blood, eerie stranger. Let me go a little bigger. I'm getting blind. Have surfaced as cops work to track down a killer in the death of 4 college students. Police in the small town of Moscow had been flooded with calls requesting welfare checks and reporting suspicious activity as the murders of the University of Idaho students remain unsolved. Requesting welfare checks. Probably parents, when your daughter doesn't answer the phone like on the third time, it's like, oh my,
Right.
I would be like that.
Yeah, I'd be driving there, flying there. I'd be going when my kids coming home.
So these are the phone calls that Chisme read, but it says they've received 78 calls for unusual circumstances, 36 for welfare checks, 70 from 70 and 18. Wow. Another call included a woman woke up at 3:18 a.m. and found her front door wide open.
Mill at dog park.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, so they haven't had any murders or anything like that since way back when, but 2016, right? And but there's a lot of weird stuff that has been happening through the years that might be, you know, a budding serial killer working their way up to this. And who knows? I mean, who knows if they've done it before or not? Because just because it hasn't happened here doesn't mean that it hasn't happened someplace else. You know, we don't know yet because we don't have the person.
Hey, Allie. Nope. Chisme, you want to read this suspect ruled out because this is from the police. So everyone's been ruled out who we were like, but there's one person that hasn't been ruled out.
Yeah.
It says
Chisme.
suspects ruled out. People have
Yeah.
looked into information about Kaylee having a stalker. They have not been able to verify or identify the stalking claims. Police do not believe the roommates. Man in the surveillance footage of the grub truck. Wait, it says police do not believe the roommates. Man in the surveillance footage of the grub truck, the person who drove Kaylee and Madison home, or anyone at the home when 911 was called were involved in the killings. They have also ruled out a man Kaylee and Madison called multiple times that morning who reports referred to as Kaylee's ex-boyfriend.
Jack. Who?
Yep.
But who are they not ruling out? The neighbor who's walking the dog and peeking up in the windows at night.
Right.
Yeah, and he has some weird things on his hands, covering his palms.
Yeah, we ran his background last night. He didn't have a background for anything.
Yeah, but it says police do not believe the roommates. Oh, okay, I get it now.
The roommates that were
They
there, the girls that
yeah,
survived.
they don't believe that they have anything to do with it.
I
Is what
don't
they
either.
say. Yeah, I thought it means they do not believe the roommates.
So let me ask you guys inside chat. I got to get a light on here. I'm going blind. I can't even. Hang on. Let me try this light.
Yeah, I hate the copycat killers.
How many? I want to hear in chat. Just tell me what kind of killer you think this is. Stranger, stalker, serial. I'm just curious what you guys think. I'm actually leaning towards somebody who's definitely done it before and a serial killer. I don't know why. I keep
I know,
going
I
to
do
that.
too.
If
I
they
don't
try to
either,
hide-
Mar, but I'm the same way. It's like this nagging little thing in the back of my head. Maybe I've watched too many things on serial killers. I don't know. But it just
Yeah.
keeps nagging me.
Yeah, because there are other cases that we don't even know about.
Awkward loner.
So what if he or this person has done some of those?
Jen says thrill. London says serial. Lynn says Ted Bundy. Yeah, there's a few Bundy types.
Yeah,
Stalker Tom Tom.
you've got spring break,
Awkward
you've
loner.
got fall break, you've got Christmas break, you've got summer break, and all of this. It doesn't mean that when this person hasn't been there or if they've gone out of town on a weekend or something like that, that maybe they haven't done it before. I just feel like, I don't know, it just keeps like gnawing at me.
I guess we're gonna have to look at another crime expert.
Awkward loner, yes.
But look at what he says. The Gainesville Ripper.
Okay, I can't see that. Could you read it?
Who is the Gain? Who? Wait a second. I've never heard
I
that
never heard of
expression
that.
used. One
That's
sec.
Danny Rawling.
Well, but I
Yeah.
never heard them call him that.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Wait a second. Where is? Let me go back to Twitter for a second. All right, let me see.
So Danny Rowling is the Gainesville Ripper?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That would be a cool one to watch or go over. It's been a long time.
We watched Ted Bundy, Danny Rollins, and the one that killed the Boston nurses.
Richard Speck. I'll have to go back and watch those. It's been a long time since I've seen that one. And he used a knife too. Well, he had a gun and he had a knife, Richard Speck.
Yep, he was a real creeper, Richard Speck.
Oh God, he was ugh. So I'll have to go back to your other ones and watch those. That would be really interesting. I'm sorry I don't catch you all the time, Mar.
You're fine. Crazy though. Let me see one more thing. I'm just looking for those things on the messages about the car.
You know, I don't think that this person would be carrying around a fixed blade knife with him all the time either, like a lot of people think that they do, because I think he would be trying to disappear into the background and not have anybody really notice him. That's why I'm kind of thinking, you know, he could be watching the Twitch live feed and then he's not there, but he's still getting off on it, you know, like a voyeur type thing.
Too funny. I'm looking for them, and I actually took a screenshot of them.
Lex Luthor wants
Alright,
to
here's the
know
first.
when did the Boston when did that happen with the Boston nurses?
50s?
That was like 60s,
50s, 60s, yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Janet
early
says
60s. Yeah, we played that one like 3 nights ago. And then we played Danny Rollins at the end. And then last night we played a quick one on Ted Bundy. But this is the range, something about the Range Rover.
That's the night when I started watching and I went to sleep for 3 hours, and then when I woke up you were still on.
So Kaylee's sister, Olivia, responds to some common questions. We never made a deal about Kaylee's Range Rover. Everyone else did. Kaylee was an extremely hard worker and worked for everything she had. She had a super good paid internship, and the company had offered her FTE starting January 1st. It's important to her and to us that she is remembered this way. She was home because she worked from home and could be. We're a big family. We take a lot of comfort in being around one another. She also was helping my mom decorate for Christmas and plan Thanksgiving in preparation for my return trip home for the Thanksgiving holiday. Assuming my mom was trying to convince Kaylee to stay is just that assumption. But the roads were also icy, and we always worry about Kaylee making that drive by herself. We never said this attack was targeted on Kaylee. What Kaylee once again had a lot of friends and family I personally called in tips. Anything and everything I could remember, big or small. Also, please cognizant that these interviews are often cut and edited to display things. But if my dad did that too, it's because he just lost his daughter. It's not his job to always be strong right now. He knows he can rely on me to help when he needs it. Not as a coaching or rehearsal deal, but because sometimes you just don't have it in you to answer a certain question. I don't know who killed her. I wish I did. And I can promise that I will find him and I will know. But I'm still getting there piece by piece. We have no bad ties. There is absolutely no illegal activities. The FBI is involved. You really think you wouldn't have heard of an arrest on one of us if there was anything? I have stated multiple times that we talked for Kaylee and Maddie. I didn't personally know Xana and Ethan and would never claim to. Okay, so they weren't close. I thought the four of them were tight knit with everyone. Of course, we feel absolutely terrible. That was our sister, our daughter, our children's aunt. I've always protected her, but this time we couldn't. It's a miserable and helpless feeling that I genuinely hope you do not ever experience. And finally, we do not owe you our places of employment or updated socials. Myself, brother, and father never have really used social media before this. My gosh, I can't read anymore. We promise that I will find him and I will know. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I think I had that twice.
Boy,
Okay.
she's really something, isn't she? I mean, she's digging
Yeah.
in. She's
Here's the
amazing.
last part. I found it. We are adamant on continuing to speak for Kaylee and Maddie because they no longer can, and an arrest has not been made. Our girls deserve more than to fade into the shadows and have their story replaced by a lost dog. And just realistically, the worst has already happened to us. I wouldn't jump 2 feet in the air to save my own life if threatened. I'd just go find my sisters when I got to whatever is left after we go. Ugh, sad.
Yeah, it really
All right,
is.
guys, it's 3:30 for me. I have got to get my butt to bed.
I have got to start catching you earlier, girl.
Yes, you do.
I always seem to catch it towards the end. But I do love your channel, and you're a sweetheart. And Kaz, she's a sweetie too. Where is she?
I think she's out. You know, it's summertime for her. She's probably out gallivanting around Queensland.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Right? Ladies, thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us. Thank you for
Lady
exploring
B.
that with me some. I'm going to go back and watch those other three on your channel.
Yeah, there's the last two. This one and the three. There's four of them all together.
Okay. Yeah, I'll watch them, hun.
Thank you, members,
Right.
mods, and subs. I'm tired. I'm starting to slur.
Lamar
For
mom.
coming in. All right, guys. Have a great night. Stay safe,
Bye.
guys. Keep
Bye,
your baby
everybody.
safe. And stay vigilant.